This is a Miami Sports Music Podcast Network production. This is the #1 Miami fan morning show. Clock Blockers, let's go.
I know the whole city riding. A little early, it's a bit surprising. Business moves, now we enterprising. Switch it up, now we improvising.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy, Stephen D. Want to say good morning to my Fins family and my Fin-laws. It is Clock Blockers, the #1 Miami fan morning show presented by Tailgreeter. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Stephen Daniels. You can follow me on all social media at Stephen D. SKPL. Spread kindness, positivity, and love. You guys can definitely do that everywhere. Make sure you guys follow me on Twitter, too. Also, hey, look, you can follow Miami Sports Music everywhere at Miami Sports Music, except online or on Twitter, where we are at MIA Sports Music. On your way in this morning, make sure you guys give us a thumbs up. As a matter of fact, make it 2 thumbs up if you have multiple accounts. However many multiple accounts you are, go visit us this morning on our stream live on YouTube and give us a thumbs up. It helps. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. And, you come on over and make sure you hit the bell notification. That way you get notified anytime Miami Sports Music goes live or Solo D drops some new tracks or whatever you might hear. Make sure you get notified by hitting all on the bell notification when you subscribe to the channel. Also, hey, look, if you want to sign up to become a member of the family, that's right. Today, sign up. The link is in the description below. Would love for you all to sign up. Can we get 2 new members today? I mean, let's get just 2 new members to the channel. All right. You sign up, get access perks, and you become part of the family. We're going to be doing some interactive events this year with members to the channel only. So if you are a member, you'll have access to certain content coming up virtually online this football season. Make sure you're a member of the family and make sure that way you can get notified and a part of these exclusive events specifically for the YouTube members. All right. Also, hey, look, if you want to help the channel grow by donating, you can do that. You can use the YouTube Live Super Chat, which is the $sign below the bottom of the chat. You can also use Cash App, which is $sign MSM Podcast Network, or $sign MSM Podcast Network. You use the QR code that's right on your screen. Want to give a big shout out to sponsors of the show, ZSM Sports. ZSM Sports, the #1 place to get your cards, jerseys, balls, and hard-to-find items. Make sure you follow ZSM Sports today. And Lime Tickets, less is more events. It is the only place to get tickets to any sporting event across the country. You want to go see the Dolphins this year? Hit up Less is More events at 202-930-3533. They have the tickets for less than the competition, allowing you to have more fun with absolutely 0 service fees. Again, that number is 202-930-3533 today. Tailgreeter, download the app on your current Crapple or Apple or whatever it is you guys have, or Android devices, to all the cool people out there with Androids. Download the app today. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. And a big, big reminder, when you do download the app or you do go to the website, type in East 32 Dolphins Tailgate. You want to party pregame at all of the home games this year for the Miami Dolphins. East 32 is the place to go. It's got everything you need. I am usually there live streaming, and if I'm not there, we try to have somebody else stream live. We also have Cameron 954 and Big Nick and all the other wonderful people at Dirty Sportswear on the grill. I'm telling you all right now, opening weekend, week 3, you do not want to miss it. It is going to be awesome. So download the app today or go to the website, tailgreeter.com, and type in East 32 Dolphins Tailgate and get all your tailgate stuff today. It is the only way to go to a Dolphins game. I promise you all that. It's the best way. Okay. All right. I hope to see you all there. It's going to be an awesome year down at East 32 at Hard Rock Stadium. All right. We got a big show lined up for you today. It is Throwback Thursday, and you know what that means. That means I have a co-host. Last week, wasn't able to come on, but this week he's here. We had one Cam on last week, but the real Cam is here today, ladies and gentlemen. Without further ado, let me bring in my co-host, my brother from another mother. I'm talking about Mr. Cameron Scott.
Good morning, Stephen D. Good morning, Clock Blockers. Damn, man, it's been a minute.
What's going on? How are you?
It's been a minute. It's been a minute, man.
It's been 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, man.
I miss you, buddy. How are you doing?
Traveling around, working, daughter's swimming meets, man. Got a lot going on.
The real Cam is up here. I had a Cameron that you're going to meet next week, who's a former minor league baseball player. He came on last week and we talked baseball for like an hour, and everybody said, who is this generic version of Cameron? We can't have this. We want the real cereal, okay? And I was like,
the real deal, East 32, Dolphins Tailgate, Cameron Scott is in the house. Let's go.
What's up, man? So we haven't talked in so long. There's a few things that are non-sports related that I wanted to ask you. First of all, you've been traveling the country looking like some amazing places out here, but it's been hot everywhere across the country. Have you noticed that too? It's been super hot everywhere.
Dude, I woke up this morning. You know, you guys know I swim in the morning, master swimming. So I get up 4:15, was in the pool at 5. I walked out the front door at 4:25 this morning. I thought my head was going to explode. It was so damn hot out. Like, it was crazy hot.
So on the news yesterday, or listen, it wasn't the news. I was picking up my kids from daycare and we're listening to the news on the radio because, yes, I'm still ancient and listen to radio sometimes. And they said it's the hottest 2-week record in the history of the earth that they've ever calculated. And they said at an airport in Iran, it reached 154 degrees. And it's like, I couldn't imagine 110 degrees, let alone 154 degrees. That sounds painful, just by the way. Couldn't imagine that. What's the hottest place you've ever been to, ever?
What's the hottest place I've ever been to?
Yeah.
I lived in Austin, Texas for a couple years in the early Texas. 2000s. And, you know, you'd walk out in the middle of summer and think that you were walking into a damn oven. It was so damn hot. You know, my boy lives in, you know, Scottsdale right now. And, you know, he's all last week, it's been averaging 111 degrees, you know, during the day. Like it's just crazy hot. That said, man, it is what it is. Like times are changing and, you know, the climate change is a real thing. And
don't let these people lie to you. It's out here real when the 2-week hottest recorded average out there. Another thing, you are a chef. You cook a lot. I don't know if you've seen the show, but I watched a new show over the last few weeks. It's called The Bear on FX. Have you seen it yet?
Have I seen it? Yeah, I know some people in it.
Do you really? Okay, first of all, I just because it's Chicago. I wanted to like go in Chicago. My
and it's legit. It's real. Like
in there.
So it's legit, right? Like, and not to go off on a tantrum, but if you read No Reservations by Anthony Bourdain, you know, his first book, it details pretty explicitly the trueness of the restaurant world is from a chef perspective. The Bear is just, I think, just the video version of that. And it's pretty spot on, man. Every day, what's going on in that Bear is pretty much what used to happen in the kitchens. Now, you know, things have toned down a little bit. It's a little bit more PC, but it's still not your average workplace for the common people.
All right, so my 3 top cooking movie / show would be Burnt or Burn. Is it Burn or Burnt? The one with what's his face is the chef. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. Plays
I know who you're
Raccoon in Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't know why I can't think of his name. And I don't know why that's the role I picked him to play. He was also in The Hangover, but Burnt, I think, is the name of it. Of the movie, and then Chef, and then watching and I love Chef because it's just
Chef's the best.
It's amazing.
But another one you should go watch and it's really outstanding is Julie
Bradley
and Julia.
Cooper. Thank you, Chris Smith. Bradley Cooper.
Julie and Julia. Go see that.
Julie and Julian.
Yeah, it's about Julia Child and this woman in New York City who. Her name's Julia, and she recreates every recipe in Julia Child's cookbook and becomes Julia Child. It's pretty cool.
NFL Lit says Ratatouille. Hey, don't knock Ratatouille.
Dude, Ratatouille
is awesome.
Is in the Mount Rushmore of
that movie. Yeah,
the Mount Rushmore of chef movies, of cooking movies. 110%.
Hey, real quick, just to ask you a couple off questions. Are kitchens that like you said they're not like anymore, but like Yes Chef, Corner, Behind, like
110%.
Is it accurate? Was that accurate in the show?
Absolutely. Like that's the way I treat my kitchen here at home. Are you kidding me? My wife and kid know exactly where to be at what time, what place.
I'm watching this, and I'm like, I've never heard this before. And then have you seen all the second season yet of The Chef?
Not yet.
Okay, so are you? What episode are you on in the second season? 30. Okay, so Lip's, and he'll always be Lip to me on Shameless, but Lip's cousin goes to like a top end kitchen to learn and observe for a month, and it's, oh my God, it's crazy. It's like boot camp. And then the other thing I thought was really cool is they sent the chefs across the world to go cook in people's kitchens, and I want to know how often that probably happens in the chef world too.
It happens often, and like I did it. I went to Italy for 3 weeks, and you cook for free. Like, it's called a stage, and you're there to learn, and you're basically the chef's bitch, and you're there to do anything and everything he says, and you're there to soak up every ounce of learning and whatever you can glean from that chef in that kitchen, because every kitchen's different. Every chef is different in how they conduct, their process of work. But it's very regimented, very militant. And, like I said, it's kind of softened up over the years. Like I worked at Disney, and I when I was young, meaning my early 20s, down in Walt Disney World in Orlando, and
back when Walt Disney was alive. I get it. I understand it.
In the kitchens, man. But I had this Austrian sous chef, a French executive chef, and an Italian sous chef. And those mother jumpers, like the Austrian would walk through the kitchen smoking a cigarette, yelling at everybody at Disney. Like, no bullshit.
For you.
Like, no bullshit. And I had a pan thrown at me. And it's just, it is what it is, man. So back to The Bear, that is filmed in Chicago, and I know there's an uproar from the Chicago chefs about, the exposition of the chef world in Chicago, but they really don't have a leg to stand on, because it's all mainly true. This chef, read this book. It's called Life on the Line. Grant Atchez, perhaps the chef of the finest restaurant in the United States, called Alinea. Check this book out, because it details not only what he did to achieve the status of best chef in the United States and possibly the world, but his personal grind too. Outstanding,
dude. I love the show, and I binge watched both seasons. I'd never watched the first season, and then the second season I had just seen so many commercials for it, and I just finished watching Shameless. So when I saw that Philip was the main character in The Bear, I was like, holy cow. And then it's Chicago, and I was like, I definitely got to talk to Cam about this, because this show is absolutely out of its mind, and I love every second of it. It's good.
Accurate, man. All these pussy ass mother jumpers, they couldn't handle it, man. I'm telling you that right now.
I love it. All right, I'm going to see Oppenheimer on Saturday. I'm so excited about that movie, by the way. Any good movies you saw the last few weeks, or no?
No, I just show Blues Brothers to my daughter, so I'm starting there.
I'm rerun. All right, let's get into the baseball talk. We'll dive right into it. We got a lot to talk about today, but trade deadline, or excuse me, All-Star Weekend happens. By the way, All-Star Weekend was great. Seattle looked like it was such a good time. The home run derby was amazing. My boy Adley Rutschman from the Orioles, he only played in that first round, but God, he was out of his mind. And the Marlins are sitting right there going into the All-Star break, and then have they won a game yet?
No, they're on a six-game
losing streak, returning from the All-Star break. So first of all, tell me about the All-Star break for you in baseball, and then obviously what the Marlins have done, which is not a lot of anything over the last week and a half.
Well, let's start with the Marlins. Let's not get ahead of ourselves and think they're out of the race. They're only one game out of the wild card now. They have lost 6 in a row, and let's see what this team is made of. They're just not getting the clutch hits right now. I think they're 1 for 24 in this last series against the Cardinals with men on scoring position, and that just doesn't cut it. They came out of the gate playing a really good Orioles team who haven't lost since the All-Star break, and are now in first place in the division along with
They've lost 2 games. They lost Monday and Tuesday to the Dodgers, but
regardless, they're in first place now with the Rays. and the Orioles are a really good team. So I expect the Marlins to be buyers right now and buy something heavy. If you notice in my little Avi there, I said Ohtani, a Marlin, it could happen, and it absolutely could happen. Do I think it'll happen? I give the chances 50-50, actually, which is pretty good. He's exactly what this Marlin lineup needs, both on the pitching side and the offensive side. They need another big thumper. Soler is their only, deep ball threat, and they need another one.
Their bats went cold in the Cardinal series.
Well, like I said, the runners in scoring position, they actually out-hit the Cardinals in terms of,
base. Bring them in, though.
They couldn't bring them in. That is correct.
Left a lot of men on base in that series. I've been getting so much back. The All-Star game for me just got me totally back into the swing of things with baseball, and I've been watching it like crazy and just all about it. And honestly, I've been playing MLB 23 on my Nintendo Switch and just been all about baseball for the last few weeks. The Orioles, actually the Orioles yesterday, believe it or not, made a trade with Oakland, who, by the way, looks like they're in the middle of a fire sale, getting rid of everybody. Fujinami, who came over from Japan last year, he started out 0-4 with a 17-something ERA as a starter, goes to the bullpen. Since May, he's had a 1.29 ERA. You're looking at small market teams like Cincinnati, Baltimore, Miami. Okay. I said, I haven't told you this because we haven't talked in about 3 weeks or almost a month. This Ohtani, what are the Angels going to do with Ohtani? Here's kind of my view of it. It doesn't benefit the Angels except for about 2 months of absolutely amazing marketing and all these people that they have with them from Japan, all these different advertisers, right? They get an extra 2.5 months. Their owner last year tried to sell the team, couldn't do it for whatever reason. They have had the two best players in all of baseball for the last four years, something like that, between Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout. They can't ever really get them on the field at the same time with each other. And when they are, it's not like they're winning games. I don't even think they've won a series in the postseason together. So my view of it is Ohtani, whether the Angels decide to make a playoff run or not here, I personally do not believe that he's going to re-sign with the Angels. I think he's going to go somewhere where they are going to put a competitive team in front of him and he has a chance to win a World Series. Now, does that mean he goes to the East Coast? I don't know. But looking around the league, you got to think San Diego, both New York teams, maybe the White Sox, maybe the Cubs. And the only reason I say those two teams is because they're big market teams. But more likely the Dodgers, and an outside chance maybe Seattle even tries to make a run at them in the offseason. And those teams I named have legitimate chances. But these small market teams, Cincinnati, Miami, Baltimore, they're right in the thick of a playoff race. And not only are they in the thick of the playoff race, they're really good teams and they have a lot of young talent. And looking at their minor league system and where they're at, you have to kind of say, wow, these teams they could make a trade for somebody like Shohei and not deplete their minor league, not ravage their minor league prospects. I think it benefits and behooves them to go to a couple of these small market teams, and by them I mean the Angels, to pick some of the best talent in baseball. And if I'm a small market team, knowing I'm probably not going to get any chance of signing him to a long-term deal, nor A, I can't afford it, and B, I'm not going to outspend some of these other teams. But for 2.5 months and maybe 2 or 3 prospects and a chance to go to the World Series with the greatest player of the game, tell me that's not amazing potential money for Miami, Baltimore, Cincinnati, somebody of a small market team to make a run. What's your thoughts?
So you got to lump in Texas too into that group.
Yeah.
The Texas Rangers, because they're ideally like probably the best team in baseball.
8 All-Stars
right now. But let's talk about in this order, right? Cincinnati, Baltimore, and Miami. Cincinnati and Baltimore's farm system are completely head and shoulders better than Miami. So they have better assets to trade, and they don't have to dip off their major league roster to do so. They have Baltimore's arguably got the two best hitters in the minor league baseball that aren't on the 4-man roster, and Cincinnati has both pitching and hitting that can offer three guys in the top 100 minor league prospects. In fact, they just called up one this week, Christian Strand, I think his name is. But anyway, and then Miami, they have a couple pieces to offer California or the Los Angeles Angels for Ohtani. And so, Texas doesn't have close to any of the pieces on their minor league system that the previous three teams I mentioned have, but they do have pieces on their major league team that they can offer. What I think happens is that, and what should happen is the Angels trade both Trout and Ohtani, send Trout East Coast, and I think he ends up in Baltimore. Mike Trout, I don't think Boston has the assets. He's a Boston guy. But I don't think Boston Red Sox have the assets in the minor league system to attract a Trout or trade for a Trout, but Baltimore certainly does. And Ohtani would fit in perfectly in Cincinnati. Like, you make that happen, right?
Ellie De La Cruz and Shohei Ohtani with that young nucleus they have in Cincinnati. Raise your hand if you're watching every Cincinnati Reds game for the rest of the year.
I already watch every Cincinnati Reds game because of Ellie De La Cruz. That guy is
so freaking. He's oh my God, he's so good. He's a freak.
The thing that Miami has in their favor, for trading him for him, is Kim Ng and her relationship in that market.
The Orioles just signed one of his best friends from Japan yesterday, or traded for him. Fujinami and Shohei are tight, and so now the Orioles have.
They were high school rivals.
Well, they grew up. They're friends. They're really they like each other, and so they were talking about here in Baltimore this week. They're like, is this or yesterday? Is this a power move to attract Shohei Ohtani to like that the Orioles will go out and trade for him, and he'll love the experience here because he'll have one of his best friends here. I was like, that might be that this are the Orioles making a move to go get Shohei?
Let me ask you this.
It looks like they are.
Stephen D, if he would be considered a rental in any of those three markets, because
he's not re-signing.
No, and he'll probably attract big money from the Yankees, Cubs, or San Diego,
Mets.
or not the Mets, but the Dodgers, like you mentioned. So let me ask you this: if you were the Marlins, would you flip Jazz Chisholm for Ohtani?
In a heartbeat. I won't even think twice about it.
I agree.
Like there's four things that come out of this for these small market teams. So I'm watching the Angels Yankees game this weekend. I watched two of them, and Shohei is just like, he came up and hit. Did you see his home run in the 7th inning a couple of nights ago where he did the bat flip?
Yeah,
I mean, just he's a freak. So I'm watching the game, and the Angels announcers are basically saying, hey, look, one of the positives LA Angels could do just to keep him here, even though they're not going to get anything for him, is does the advertising dollars that they get from Japan outweigh in a 2-month stretch what maybe they said that these Japan advertisers are paying 2 or 3 times what the average US sponsor would pay for some of those deals in that stadium.
How quickly, for a 3-month rental, do you turn that around,
Well, I look at Baltimore, I look at Cincinnati, and I look at Miami, and I'm like, those teams would know how to nickel and dime the hell out of that to make the most of that money and make it stretch, right? You got to think this. You're going to have to pay probably $10 to $12 million for 2.5 months to Shohei. You are probably going to have to give up at minimum 2 top 100 prospects in your farm system, including probably a couple of other exciting young talent in your. It's going to be at least a 4-player deal. And there's probably not a really good chance I have re-signing them unless I win the World Series. And if you can win the World Series with him, maybe it sticks in his mind, well, I should just stay here. I don't care how much I get paid. I can make money from, sponsors. So, which I think is BS, but it could happen, I guess. It's there. So,
and Miami, Baltimore, and Cincinnati all have three things going for them. They have youth. They have strong pitching. At least in Miami has a stronger pitching out of the three. Baltimore and Cincinnati has a stronger, 1 to 9 lineup that they could build around Ohtani. But Ohtani would come into Miami and be the man.
He would be the man. He would be. First of all, I want you all to think about this for a second. Tyreek Hill, Messi, Ohtani, and Damian Lillard all in one city, and Dalvin Cook all in one city.
Stop. Hey, we'll get to Dalvin Cook here in a minute. But
imagine all that in one city, by the way. Don't worry. You don't really have to, because it all might come to fruition,
Listen, it possibly could happen, man.
So ultimately, I know that the Angels have won 5 out of their last 6, and they might not even lost since they've been back from the break. If they have, they've only lost 1 or 2. If they win the next 3 weeks, Cameron, does Ohtani get moved and they try to make a run at this thing?
I think they have to move. I mean, here's why. Like when Trout and Ohtani are in the lineup together, they're 50 games under 500. And that was going into.
That's sad.
That is stupid. I don't even know how that coach still has his job, man. Like, it's crazy. Or the GM over there. Like, they can't put a competitive pitching staff around those two players to make a run. It baffles me. So my point is that you're better getting assets for Ohtani because you're not going to re-sign him.
And they have to have seen what the Orioles did in 2018 when they got rid of Buck and Manny Machado and all the they gutted everybody, and they gutted everybody on their major league roster, and through Manny Machado trade to the Dodgers, through a few other trades, they ended up getting all these young prospects back. They ended up losing 3 years in a row, 100 games each, getting the number 1 overall pick 2 years in a row.
And now look at them.
I see Yankee fans saying, "Oh my God, I wish I was the Orioles right now," because their future they have the best future in baseball. They have, unbelievable talent in the minors, the unbelievable talent in the majors. They're winning games.
Well, that's what we're saying. It hasn't worked for the Angels with their 2 superstars, Ohtani and Trout. So
I agree with you. They need to trade both of them to
get the assets that all the assets you possibly can. And whether it's Cincinnati or Miami or whomever, Texas, you make that trade all day long. Now, if he comes to Miami, I'm not saying that they're going to re-sign him, long term. I don't think that happens. I think he goes, to a major market team that can afford, $50 to $75 million a year.
I think he wants to. I think he's going to get traded, and I think it's going to be to a Midwest or East Coast team, because he will get a chance to try the East Coast for 2 months before making his decision on what he wants to do. Because the reality is
he has no control over that. 0.
No, well, that's true.
0. But he could go to Cincinnati and have no say in it whatsoever.
Well, you're talking about when he gets traded from the Angels to whoever at the trade deadline?
Correct.
All right, so he doesn't have a no-trade clause, but I have been reading that the Angels, if they decide to trade him and they have offers that they, let's say they get 2 offers that they like, that they would be willing to go to him to allow him to choose which place he'd want to go.
The Angels, if they're going to trade him, they're going to get the best package possible. It doesn't matter if it's Kansas.
But if Cincinnati and Baltimore both give you amazing packages and the players kind of cancel each other out, and you're like, well, who are we going to pick? And so you might go to Shohei and say, look, if you had the choice, would you rather go to Cincinnati or Miami? Maybe that is a decision that they would say that they would allow him to have in that situation.
I doubt it.
Okay. I mean, look, somebody's going to put a better offer on the table. There's probably, they're going to like a prospect more in one of those 2 things, and that'll be the deciding.
Right. And that's the tipping point, right? Like it's all about, the weight of the offer at the top, and Baltimore especially, and Cincinnati secondly, have the assets to do that. And San Diego does as well.
Does a small market team get Ohtani for 2 months? Yes or no?
Does a small market team?
Or is he going to one of the places that has a chance to sign him long term?
If you think that St. Louis is a small market team,
they're about to trade Nolan Arenado.
Listen,
they're about to gut that whole team in the next 3 weeks.
I sincerely disagree with you, and here's why. It's the worst division in sports. They're 8 games out of first place, 7 games out of first.
10 games out of first. They're 10 games out of first and 10 games under 500.
And how many out of the wild card? And how many out of the wild card, Steven?
3.
Okay. For me, St. Louis is the team least likely to make a fire sale. They have the assets to win a wild card spot. And once you're in the wild card, anything can
happen. I agree with you there. If I am Pittsburgh or St. Louis, I am saying
Pittsburgh is on the way down.
I'm looking at what the Orioles just did in Baltimore over the last 4 years, and I'm saying, all right, everybody here at the major league level that's an all-star, you're shipped. You're gone. You're out the door. I'm getting everything I can for you. And then I don't care about losing the next 2 years 100 games because I'll get the number 1 overall pick by being the losingest team in baseball, and then I'll get a chance to build up my farm system over the next 2 to 3 years. And then bam.
I think St. Louis can lose the rest of their games and still not have the worse record than Oakland.
That's probably true. You're not wrong.
Or Kansas City.
Yeah, Kansas City's bad too. Oh my God, 28-69.
They're almost as bad as Oakland. They're probably in that same conversation.
But
my point is that St. Louis still has an opportunity to make the playoffs, and they have the tools to do so. And they've been playing a lot better lately. The next week to week and a half is going to
draft pick is now determined by lottery in Major League Baseball. Is it really?
Correct.
I don't think I knew that. All right. Well, see, there you go. You don't even got to be the worst. I'll say this: Ohtani does get traded in 3 weeks. They should trade Mike Trout too, and I think ultimately he will go to a small market team. And my hope is that it's either Cincinnati, Miami, or Baltimore. And I would love to see one of those 3 teams get him because I will be tuning in every single night to watch Ohtani in that small market city for 2.5 months. And it'll be amazing. It'll be absolutely amazing. By the way, what do the Marlins need to go after? More hitting or more starting pitching?
In my estimation, both. But hitting first, they need a big bat. They need, especially third base. The production they're getting out of third base and shortstop is abysmal.
If Nolan Arenado is on the trade docket, could he go to Miami? Is that somebody who they could be looking at?
He would fit right in, and it would be exactly what the Miami Marlins need. What's up, noob?
I'm reading MLB trade rumors. Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer, could they get traded?
I doubt it. Their contracts are just they're 2 of the highest paid players in the league.
Carlos Carrasco has a 5.35 ERA and 13 starts. He's not really looking great right now.
He's trash. He's trash and been trash for 2 years. He's a big reason why the Mets are trash.
All right, looking at the AL East, Yankees, Red Sox, are they buyers or sellers at the trade deadline?
I think the Yankees are. I think they both stand pat.
You don't think either one of them do anything?
Nah.
Okay. Not even getting rid of talent? Like maybe a player?
So it's the same thing with the Mets. Like their contracts are too heavy. Maybe Rizzo,
I'm going to tell you who I feel like I could see Anthony in Miami. I think they could. He's a Miami guy. He's a big Dolphins fan, by the way, everybody. And he's struggling right now in New York. And what I don't want to say it's the pressure of New York, but I just
listen. He's
not what he was in Chicago.
So stop right there. Do your research because he had the best season he's had in 10 years last year in New York.
He did, but he's struggling right now.
But that's all right. the whole damn team is struggling. And so, but back to your original point, I do see an opportunity where Rizzo and Domingo Germán, make it to Miami. Germán Herman was, an original Miami Marlins draft pick. Or he actually was a signing, international signing. So, NorCal's funny.
Yeah, I feel bad for A's fans.
But
thank you for Fujinami. I'm excited about him in an Orioles uniform. I think he's going to be great.
Boston, I think they'd stand pat too.
All right, and then just looking real quick at the National League one more time. Phillies and Braves. What are they going to do? Are they either one of those teams going to make moves? I feel like the Braves make at least one move at the trade deadline every year.
So wouldn't it be something if the Braves got Ohtani?
Oh my God! Just give them the trophy. Just give them the trophy if that.
They need starting pitching in a bad way. And if you slide him into DH, I mean, who's their DH now? Ozuna and / D'Arnaud.
Ozuna's still batting at 4, I think.
Yeah, D'Arnaud and Ozuna are their DHs. Yeah. You slide him right in, and it's stupid. Just hand them the championship.
Oh my God! What about Philly? Philly gonna make a move? I didn't realize Philly was as good as they was until like the last 2 weeks, and I've been like the week before the All-Star break and this week after, I'm like, holy cow! Philadelphia is Bryce Harper actually making that team better?
No. He's not yet. But I mean, the guy is still DHing with a broken elbow, from Tommy John surgery. And Trey Turner has been crap. And in fact, Joey Wendell has a higher on base percentage than Trey Turner, which is stupid.
It'll be cool.
But Trey Turner is going to turn it on.
All right, Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network.
Hey, Newton.
What's up?
Dude, I know you're watching the Open Championship. The guy in first place is an amateur. He's 6'8" dude. He's got the fastest swing in this tournament. Go check him out.
He's an amateur and in first place at the Open?
Well, I mean, it's through 5 holes.
Doesn't matter, right? You could, you can still say, hey, look.
The dude's really good.
Hey, what do you think of the PGA Tour merger so far with Liv? What do you think?
I mean, who knows what's going on? Some say it's a merger, some say it's not. The Liv is going to continue. Who the hell knows, man? All I know is that the payouts for the majors especially have gone exponentially higher in the PGA Tour, and that's because of the influence Liv has on the golf world. So that's a good thing.
Did you watch that Steph Curry golf hole-in-one?
That was pretty cool, man. And he won that tournament.
He's such a am I like, is it crazy to think that he could probably play in the PGA? I don't think he would win, but he could definitely play in it.
That is crazy. He would maybe be a top 20 player on the Korn Ferry Tour. That's how good That's how good the PGA players are.
Okay. But still, Korn Ferry Tour is like what? That's like AAA of the PGA.
100%. Yeah.
That's really good. Top 20 Korn Ferry Tour is still like legit. I don't care what anybody says. Those guys are legit.
So hey, I got a question from Newfoundland there. Hey, Cam, looking at a game to fly down for the season, any big Tailgreeter preseason game, Tailgater pregame that we should be considering? And you might want to tell them about Fan Club Weekend.
Fan Club Weekend, man. The Carolina Panthers game, Newfoundland is, matter of fact, my guy Mark Norcal is listening to the show right now. He's in the chat. He puts together him and Scott Howell from Atlanta Dolphin Group every single year, an amazing weekend called Fan Club Weekend. If you want to get with Mark Angelo, he's got the inside track on like tickets where you can sit with, a whole group. The night before the game, we do a big meet and greet. I'm not exactly sure where that's going to be at this year because the place we used to do it at,
it's still open.
It's still open. All right. So maybe we still do it there. I'm not sure. So
to be determined.
Yeah, I think that's to be determined. But East 32 Dolphins Tailgate, which is Cameron, and he's been doing it for over a decade there at that place in the tailgate, which, by the way, we need to talk about the tailgate stuff. from the standpoint of I heard they changed colors again or something like that?
No, it's just all orange. I mean, it's a bunch of confusion over nothing.
I know. I saw people were going online, and I was like, well, Cameron's coming on the show. I guess we'll talk about that. That is Miami related.
But Newfoundland, man, get with Mark Dolphin Angelo, NorCal Dolphin Angelo, the Godfather.
The Godfather.
You can find him on the Fan Club Weekend Facebook page. Just ask to be added.
And Newfoundland, I don't know how old you are, but Facebook is this thing that older people use online. It's really cool. If you're a younger guy, you might use this thing called TikTok and Threads and Instagram and all this other BS. TikTok
Threads. I still have a Hotmail address. That's how old I am.
Oh my goodness. I'll say this. Curry played in a Corn Ferry event, level 2 noob said. And don't think he made the cut if I remember correctly. Top 20 in the Corn Ferry might be a reach. He's played in at least 2 events that I know of. He was 8 over in one and 17 over in the other. But he's a hell of a pro amateur.
Dude, anybody who comes down to 18 and Eagles to win is impressive. But I agree with Noob. You know, it's a lot more difficult than people think to answer your question. Newfoundland
said, dude, I'm an OG Hotmail guy myself. You Hotmail people, absolutely. Sandy!
OG.
I missed you. Where you been? What's up?
Good morning, Sandy. Sandy's got a broke wing, I think.
I haven't heard from Sandy in a minute. I missed you, Sandy. What's up? All right. Training camp. Rookies reporting. It's that time of year, Cameron. Actually, hold on. Wait. I need to do a timeout first. I got you on. And this is the time of year we just talked about Fan Club Weekend. We're starting to get amped up for this stuff. I'm gonna come back to it. A little sad note, but I want you to talk about the mayor, man, like, and what the mayor meant to you. And you know, I announced on the show that the mayor passed away this week, and it was rough, man. It came to me by surprise. So
I think it surprised all of us only because, you know, he was talking with everybody and, you know, up to, you know, a week before he passed away. And, you know, he's one of those guys you never think it would happen to. You know, he just seems so happy and strong all the time. And then, you know, news about 5 months ago that he got diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, but he was always online, always, you know, on social media, talking positively, you know, with positive inflection and, hey, I'll see you guys this season and everything. And, you know, giving us hope. And then, you know, news that he passed away was kind of sudden for us and really a gut punch. And I'll say this about Gary. You know, we have a strong, you know, close-knit community of Finn fans. And I know we get on here and this is an outlet to get after each other. But when you come out to the tailgates and it's one, you know, big fan kingdom that of positivity. And we're all out there having a good time. And, you know, Gary is the mayor for a reason because he was the one always making sure everybody had a smile on their face, a drink on their hand, and a name tag on their chest, because that's what he did. You know, he brought people together with that infectious smile and his demeanor. And I'll tell you this, you know, I'm one of the first in that parking lot every Sunday morning, you know, setting up the tailgate. And I would get there, you know, 8 a.m. and be setting up. And sure enough, you know, Gary would, you know, park across in the yellow lot and walk across the street with his case of Bud Light and come right down aisle 209. And if you guys know, you know, East 22 is first, and that's where we set up. And East 12 is down 209 towards the stadium. So he would just come down the aisle and talk to everybody. And I looked forward to seeing him every Sunday morning because I knew when Gary is in the house that we were going to have a good time and things were positive and the world was right, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, it's kind of upsetting and sad. We're surely going to miss him. And I know Dolph Freaky and the good folks down at East 12 are organizing a memorial for him at his favorite spot, Lulu's.
Lulu's Bait Shack the night before on opening weekend. I'll be there.
Down in Fort Lauderdale Beach. So we'll all be there. And if you all knew Gary and want to come out and show his respect, I suggest coming out there and doing so. But he will be missed for sure, Stephen.
No, 100%. The one thing I'll miss most is the meet and greets and him and his name tags and going around to everybody and giving them name tags. So, yeah, man, it's a fan club weekend will not be the same this year without him. I know that. All right. Shout out to Gary. I'll miss you, buddy. And hopefully he'll get to witness the Dolphins Super Bowl run this year. But the Dolphins Super Bowl run has to start in training camp, and training camp started this week. Rookies reported July 25th. Next week, everybody will be in the building. What are you most looking forward to for the start of training camp, Cameron?
I am looking forward to three things throughout training camp. First and foremost, I think I'm looking for, so I have kind of an in with the team in terms of day to day and what they're seeing. And I'll tell you this: the players on the offensive side are already commenting, and that's just through OTAs, what a different feel the defense has in terms of culture, how they're going about their business, and what they're going to bring to the field through training camp in this upcoming season. Vic Fangio, we all concentrate on player acquisitions, Jalen Ramsey and Berrios and Chosen Anderson as compliments to the team. But no one, and this happened early, right after last season ended, the signing of Vic Fangio. That's going to be the single most important addition to this team by a wide margin. And that's saying something because Jalen Ramsey is, an all-pro cornerback. So what you're going to see out of the defense is going to be a difference maker for this team, in addition to an offense that's number two for me going into its second year under the same playbook. And they made key additions that are going to help this team, specifically Chosen Anderson and Berrios and Devin Achane. I wish they would have added a bigger name, to the offensive line, but we'll see how that pans out, through training camp. And then thirdly, what I'm looking for is really the cornerback battle, and then who's going to be sifted out. Really, there's 10 or 12 cornerbacks or backfield guys on the roster right now, and who's going to emerge, out of that defensive backfield as, on the starting roster. That's going to be, for me, the training camp battle to watch.
Looking around the NFL and seeing, what other teams are doing and they're reporting to training camp. There were some teams that July 19th, rookies and veterans got to report. Obviously, us not having a first-year head coach is the reason why our veterans can't show up, I guess, a week before like some of these other teams can. But just looking around the league, Cameron, I on paper, the Dolphins have one of the best, if not most fearing rosters in the NFL. And we'll start on the defensive side. Pro Football Focus releasing that Jalen Ramsey being the third best corner in the entire NFL. I don't know if you agree with that or not. I mean, he's up there. He's one of the best. And with Fangio, you kind of alluded to it already. But with Fangio coming into this defense, what is it going to say? Do you think there'll be 9, 10, maybe even 11 people in the secondary? How many people in the linebacking room? If there's 10 or 11, who's the odd man out? What is a name that is good enough to make this roster that probably will not because of the depth or talent that's on this roster?
Nick Needham.
Nick Needham. Really?
He's coming off a pretty serious injury and coming into a new defense that really doesn't fit his specific talents.
Now, what about special teams, though? Special teams got to play a part into this, and he's the special teams captain.
Listen,
or was.
It's a new season, new coordinator, new talent on this team.
Interesting. Wow. So
wouldn't you just shit your pants if Noah makes this team over Nick Needham?
I will lose my crap. Let me tell you something, Cameron. Noah Benagany has he has no business making this 53-man squad. And if he does,
be prepared to be surprised, Steve.
I'm going to come looking for Vic Fangio, and I'm going to demand answers, Vic. How do you let this man who hasn't done anything in the NFL for 3 years except one amazing interception on a Sunday night football game, which was amazing, but in one game and in technically one play in 3 years? Just saying, don't let it happen. Daniel Taylor's right. Go ahead. According to Pro Football Focus, Miami Dolphins has the top 5 defense heading into the season. Are you all ready to say it's top 5, Cameron?
On paper, I mean, sure.
Okay. We were, 21 last year, 22?
I mean, that's what the addition of Vic Fangio does. I mean, he's never had a defense.
He moves us up 15 spots, 16 spots. Because essentially, look, don't get it twisted. Like, I can't say we have the same personnel. Deshaun Elliott, Jalen Ramsey, David Long, those guys are obviously different.
So you asked me a question about who's good enough to be on this team that won't make this team. The reason Deshaun Elliott was brought in, who's the other safeties back there?
Verone McKinley and Elijah Campbell.
Nope.
Brandon Jones and Javon Holland.
All right, stop right there. Brandon Jones.
No way. Brandon Jones is a starter in this league, bro. Come on now. He's making this team.
Don't be surprised, bro.
What? Hold on. Overthecap.com. Is there salary implications that can support you?
No, I'm just talking. I have no clue what the salary implications are because I didn't look it up. But I'm just telling you, he was a one-trick pony in that defense as a blitzer. His coverage ability isn't better than Deshaun Elliott's or Elijah Campbell.
Jones.
And I like Brandon Jones.
$2.7 million cap savings if you cut him.
There you go.
And the same if you trade him.
So he's a piece that you could see me on the move. You know why? It's because his skill set isn't good for zone coverage in the deep set 2 safety set.
I've said this on the show. For me, the person that is good enough to make this squad, but probably will not, is Channing Tindall. I think Channing Tindall. Malik Reed is Fangio's boy. Duke Riley is a monster on special teams and is good for what he is, which is a backup linebacker, right? And Gink is not going anywhere because he was the first preseason or offseason hire free agent by Fangio. So, Ginkel's not going anywhere. So,
and I'll expound on them.
Fangio, I think, is gone.
Fangio went to Van Ginkel and asked him to stick around.
Yep. He took less money to stay here.
He has big plans for Van Ginkel in this scheme.
Pretty much said, you take less money to come here. I promise you it'll pay off for you more in the future, and you'll have a chance to win a Super Bowl here. And I think Ginkel bought into that and loves South Florida and loves the Dolphins and said, let's go. I'm all about it. Now, Tindall, everybody's like, well, he's a 3rd-round pick from last year. We have Noah here who's going into his 4th year. Now, granted, he was a 1st-round pick. It's a lot harder to get rid of a 1st-round pick, but Tindall was pretty much picked to eventually be a starter here. And after one season, them giving up on him sounds like, why would the Dolphins do that? Well, he wasn't a Fangio guy. And Malik Reed and Van Ginkel, and I would even say Duke Riley, probably fit the mold better than Tindall. And if we're having 10 or 11 people in the secondary, which I fully predict that we will,
how many?
One of these linebackers are gone. It make Trill Williams, in my opinion, and Justin Bethel both make this squad. And that's 9 and 10 for you in the backfield. Keon
Listen,
Crawford.
Sarni put out a tweet last week, and I agree with him, and I commented on it about something's got to shake out. You keep 6 defensive backs, right? 8 maybe. You're not keeping 10, and
10
they
people
have
in the secondary.
They have 12 in camp. So
hold on, you got to hold on. Xavier Howard, Brandon Jones, Javon Holland, Jalen Ramsey, Cater Kahu, Cam Smith, Deshaun Elliott. 7 that are making the team, no questions asked. All right. I understand you said Brandon Jones, but I'm saying he's make the team. He's good enough. That's 7 right there, right? So now you have 8, 9, possibly 10, possibly 11. So who is 8 and 9 that's definitely making this team? Well, if Keon Crossan doesn't become a cap casualty, which it's likely he could be, but I don't think that's a surprise to anybody, but he's good enough to make this squad. Let's say he's 8. Nick Needham is 9. And so then that leaves you Verone McKinley, Trill Williams, Justin Bethel, Elijah Campbell, Noah Igbenogany. And for me, Trill Williams was rated higher before his injury than Cater Kahu, who, by the way, is going to get significant playing time this year, him in his great season that he had last year. So Trill Williams, to me, makes a lot of sense for him being on the active roster. And Justin Bethel is a McDaniel guy. He's a special teams guy, and he's good at the end of the secondary. So Keon Crossing was 8, Nick Needham was 9, Trill Williams is 10, and Justin Bethel is 11. Noah's gone, Elijah Campbell's gone, and I said 11. I still think Keon Crossing could be a cap casualty, which goes back to 10. So
here I've got another player that's going to leapfrog him all, and he was signed as an undrafted free agent. But go look him up, and that's Bryce Thompson.
Bryce Thompson from San Francisco.
He played college ball at Tennessee.
Yep. He's had 2 years of NFL experience. He signed as an undrafted free agent in May of 21 to New Orleans. Pretty much, was waived, injury waived, IR, activated, practice squad, free agent, blah, 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 blah. And then it says San Francisco up here, 23, but I don't see on his transaction list wherever that happened. So I guess towards the end of the year, he was on San Francisco's squad, maybe in 2022. So he's not a McDaniel guy then. So I'm going to say that, Miami signed him as a free agent this year. So
go look up what he did in the XFL.
Bryce Thompson.
Yeah. And listen, they brought him in because he's tall, he's lean, he's fast, and he plays really good zone coverage. He's a ball hawk, and he's a good tackler in the backfield.
All right. He did 21 tackles solo, 13 assisted, 34 total tackles, 5 sacks from the secondary in the XFL. That's pretty good. Started out of the 10 games, started 9 of them, 2 interceptions. Not bad.
No, and he's got height and weight. He's a bigger body and is just as swift as all the other guys that are starting ahead of him. Listen, I'm just saying, giving you a camp name that could surprise you and make this roster, it's Bryce Thompson.
I'll say this. It doesn't necessarily surprise me that the Dolphins have a young guy in camp who there's some hype on, right? Like it was Trill Williams last year. And then Trill gets hurt, and is out for the year. And then they said, well, maybe this guy, Cater Kahu, who's having a pretty good – he wasn't being as talked about as much because Trill was in front of him getting all the spotlight. Well, the moment Trill goes down, Cater Kahu gets a chance to have some eyes on him and makes the most of his opportunities. And now all of a sudden he's put into game situations in the regular season because of depletion or injuries. And then he steps up to the plate again. So he and becomes one of the best rookies on the defensive side that we've seen in a long time. He's been fun to watch, Cater Kahu.
So you got to think about it this way, Steven. And listen, Cater Kahu, for an undrafted free agent, gave us more than what any of us could have expected last year. It's a different defensive scheme, totally, right? So they played almost 72% press man coverage last year in totality. That's without Byron Jones and with Xavier Howard, who it's really unfair to Xavier
But
Howard.
everything they put on him last year.
Yeah, to play all this press man coverage. That's why Xavier Howard's going to excel this year in the coverage that Vic Fangio has, along with Jalen Ramsey on the other side. It's going to be ridiculous. But Kader Kahu was excellent in press man coverage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does he have the skill set to perform in this zone scheme that Vic Fangio has? He's on the smaller side. Let's just see what happens. He could be somebody that gets kind of lost in the shuffle because of the scheme.
I don't think that you're wrong. You're talking about Kader Kahu himself getting lost in the shuffle?
Yes.
Listen,
I'm telling you right now, Steven, all bets are off. Forget about whatever happened last year on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, I'm talking every position. Like, there could be some major moves happening on the defensive line that we don't know about yet. Like, it's entirely plausible that Christian Wilkins isn't on this roster, from at game one.
All right. Well, let's get into that because, look, they haven't restructured. They haven't re-signed him. And from everything that I've heard, though, Wilkins, one of the reasons that Fangio came here was Wilkins. He even talked about him. He didn't talk about him in his.
Go back and look at that interview. He talked about what a special talent he is and how well he's played and developed. He never talked about he hasn't talked about him since and what he could do in this current defense. You remember, Christian Wilkins is kind of an undersized nose, right?
Yeah.
And this defense is predicated on 3-4.
All right, so let's play a scenario out for the sake of conversation, Cameron. What does a Christian Wilkins trade look like?
That's a great question. So the reason you trade Christian Wilkins, right, is to create cap space down the line. And that's the only reason. Right?
So
he's a more than quality NFL player. That could be attractive to.
He's right below elite. He's not elite, but he's right below.
Listen, he led the league in tackles last year, so
yeah, he was unreal.
So put him in that conversation. Does he get a first round draft pick back? I doubt it. Maybe a couple seconds and a third, but that to me, that's something that Greer takes all day long.
I'm going to say this: Christian Wilkins is not going anywhere.
I don't think he does, but I'm just saying, don't be surprised.
I will be very surprised if that happens. I will be, and I know you.
Especially if Greer gets greedy and makes a contract offer to a certain running back that's looking to come here.
Well, just to finish up on Wilkins, he will play this year on this current contract with the understanding that the Dolphins will negotiate in good faith next year on the next one.
There ain't no such thing as good
I understand.
Faith.
That's what it's going to be. If for some reason Greer and Wilkins Greer and Wilkins representation cannot come to an agreement, which I believe might be Rosenhaus. I don't know who Wilkins representation is. I think it's Rosenhaus. I could be wrong about that. But whoever his representation is doesn't come to an agreement, he would be the perfect franchise tag next year. You pay him a top 3 at his position for 1 year, and you still make a chance to go on a Super Bowl run because you're still in that Super Bowl window. And if you can get a chance to put him on a transition tag the year after that, that's options that the Dolphins have where they can still get something from him, put him on a transition tag, and hope that he'll come to some sort of thing. But
yeah, I agree with Mark McCormick. A third, maybe a second, because he's going to get $20 million a year, and
actually he'll probably go on the transition tag next year and the franchise tag the year after that. You can be franchise tagged twice. So they could essentially put him on the transition tag this year.
Or you can turn him into 2 or 3 players.
I have a hot take to finish up on the nose tackle before we go to the other thing. If the Dolphins have only lost 3 games by like week 9, week 10, week 11, they've only lost 2 or 3 games. Ndamukong Suh will be a Miami Dolphin come week 9.
Oh my God. Level 2 noob, would you please record this? I hope you're recording this.
I've said this all week. This is nothing new to my listeners.
I know you have.
Mark my words. If the Dolphins lose anything, if they lose 3 games or less, come week 9, Ndamukong Suh will be a Miami Dolphin in the middle of the year for $2-something million, $2.5 million. Yes. $2.5 million for half a year, all day. All day. Him and Stephen Ross are like this. He did it last year in Philadelphia. There's no reason to think he won't do it again this year for us.
He signed a 1-year, $9.2 million contract last year with Tampa Bay. Do you think he's going to take
the year before that he did?
Who cared? It's last year.
Last year he played with the whatchamacallit, with the Philadelphia Eagles. He signed in week 9, and I want to say his contract was only for like $2.5 million. $2
million.
Thank you. He will sign week 9 with the Miami Dolphins as long as they have a really good record. Okay? It has to be 3 losses at most. 2 losses would be great. 2 losses or less would be great. And he will sign with us in week 9 for $2-something million, and he will get us to a Super Bowl. Because the last 3
he will get us to a Super Bowl?
He's going to lead us to the promised land, Cameron. Okay?
Does he throw left-handed?
He's going to take us to the promised land. Look, he's been to a Super Bowl with Philly. He's been to a Super Bowl with the LA Rams. He's been to a Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Everywhere he goes, his last 3 stops, this man finds his way to the Super Bowl. And I'm telling y'all right now, if we have less than 3 losses come week 9, Ndamukong Suh will be a Miami Dolphin. Hot take right here, Throwback Thursday. Record it, write it down, take a picture. I don't care.
I ain't mad at it because the defensive line does need some.
That's why I don't think, and as people are talking about that, right? I just don't see it. Level 2 Noob says right after Sue signs for $12 million and Frito stock options, we will trade for Patrick Mahomes.
Shout out to Cap for Life. Shout out to Level 2. Shout out to Cap for Life. What's up, fellas?
Kings 1980 said, get this man some food and coffee. He clearly needs it.
I'm telling you, man.
Oh man, yeah, he's gonna sit for 9 weeks to see what the F the Dolphins are gonna do. He is. Sue ain't coming. Sue's gonna be here, y'all. Don't worry. Ndamukong Suh's gonna be here mid-season and take us to a Super Bowl, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, I got 10 minutes before I got to go pick up my daughter, and you let all the bozos back up on this show. So let's talk about him.
What do you want to talk about? What do you want to talk about? The running back room, man. I mean, well, first of all, do you have any news on Dalvin Cook for me? You're the guy down there. You know a little bit of some of the people in the inn. Is Dalvin on his way to the facility, or is Dalvin going to be playing in another jersey this year?
Dalvin is parked in the parking lot at the facility waiting for Greer to give him a decent contract. Now, therein lies the rub, because Greer is trying to lowball him. And
does he know that? Does he feel like he's trying to lowball him?
Oh, he knows it. And here's the thing. And, you've got Saquon Barkley, you've got Jacobs, you've got Fournette, and I'm missing.
Neither of them signed their long-term deals by 4
p.m. They're all free out there, right? They're all in the
franchise. They're all franchise tagged and have to play on the franchise tag now this year.
So my point is that Dalvin Cook kind of has a little bit of leverage here in terms of, because he has another team in the AFC East that's willing to pay him good money. And it's not going to be a good thing for the Dolphins if he does that. And so Greer's got to make a decision. And it's almost as if you overpay him to keep him out of the Jets' backfield. Because that's the other team.
So you're saying he's either going to be a New York Jet or a Miami Dolphin. He wants the Miami Dolphins.
He wants the Dolphins.
He wants the Dolphins to come up more.
Exactly.
Who's going to win that game with chicken?
It's the Miami Dolphins. You know what's going to happen. He's going to be starting in fucking Meadowlands.
Yeah. Yeah. Unless he says, screw it, I'll just come here for the amount that they want me to.
Well, here's the other thing. So you got Bryce Hall right up there in the Jets, right? And not much else. You've got that kid from North Carolina.
By the way, late last night, we heard on the show yesterday that Denzel Mims they were looking to trade him late last night. They executed that trade to the Detroit Lions for a 7th-round pick, but got $3 million off the books.
There you go.
So they might be trying to up their current offer to just say, Dalvin, just come sign here.
So I think hypothetically the Dolphins can give him $2.5 to $3 million, and the Jets can give him $5.5 to $6 million. So what would you do?
I would say,
and you're going to get a lot more carries in the Jets backfield.
I would go. I would if it would to be who gives him the best chance to win a Super Bowl. In my opinion, it's the Dolphins, but I'm biased. I can admit that. You got to think New York tax in his money. So what is the difference truly going to be? $1 million. So the question is for, let's say, $2 million tops. Is $2 million the difference between living in New York and playing with the Jets for a year? Or is $2 million worth staying at home, playing in front of my family, living in South Florida?
All things equal, if you want to play behind Aaron Rodgers and you have a legitimate chance for a Super Bowl, just as you do
here in Miami, Tyreek and Jalen Waddle,
as you do in Miami. I'm saying, so the difference maker is the money, and you're going to get more carries in New York.
The other thing we have that they don't have is it's home. It's great weather. It's South Florida.
Man, he can come down here in the offseason all he wants, but listen, the fucking sun ain't going to be paying his bills 20 years from now.
I mean, that's true. That's true.
I'm just telling you, like it's clearly between the Jets and the Dolphins, and y'all think that's smoke, but it's not smoke at all. It's not at all. Especially when Fournette's going to go up there and sign with New England.
Yeah, I was pissed about that yesterday. He tried.
Why are you pissed? He sucks. Like it's not going to matter.
He does not suck.
They still have Wack Jones as the quarterback.
That's true. That's not going to matter. But I honestly, if Dalvin didn't sign with us, I wanted us to go after Leonard Fournette. I thought he would.
Shout out to Pete. And Pete, I love that you must be housing Skylar Thompson in your back room or something, because you got your lips all around his asshole. Jesus Christ. You follow Pete on Twitter. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is something else. I will tell you that. No doubt about it.
And I love you, Pete. I love you, man. But come on already.
Dalvin Cook, ultimately, week 1, is he a New York Jet or a Miami Dolphin?
New York Jet.
I hope you're wrong, but I don't think you are. I think you're spot on, actually, with that. I think you are 100% spot on.
And listen, don't sleep on the Jets' core wide receivers. They got rid of Denzel Mims because there wasn't enough balls to pass around for him.
How close were they on DeAndre Hopkins, you think?
I never heard that. DeAndre Hopkins signed with Tennessee because of his familiarization with the offensive coordinator.
He signed because they gave him the most money.
And the best position to catch the most balls. Like, he's the alpha dog by far there.
All right, so it's a 2-year deal for D-Hop. I said this week. Tell me if you think I'm spot on or spot off. DeAndre Hopkins, if Tennessee's losing, like they are not going to be in it, okay, come whenever the trade deadline is, which I think is week 8 now. Come week 8, if they've only won 2 or 3 games. Hot take, spot on, spot off. DeAndre Hopkins gets traded, and only playing 7 games because it's a 2-year deal. And Derrick Henry also gets traded. And they tried to trade him to rebuild some of their roster or draft picks. You don't think DeAndre Hopkins could get traded this trade deadline? I think he could. I think if they've only won 2 or 3 games come the trade deadline, D-Hop could definitely get traded this year.
What makes you think the Titans are only going to win 2 or 3 games by game 9?
Well, I mean, look, there's the unknown of Indianapolis and Houston with their rookies, right? You don't know what they're going to be.
Who's Indianapolis?
They're probably not going to be great, but they're still the unknown. And then you have they're not beating Jacksonville. Jacksonville's one of the best teams in the AFC.
Oh,
I'm on board with Jacksonville, man. I think Trevor Lawrence and that team and Doug Peterson, they have it worked out. He's going to be, I don't think he's going to be, he's going to be like the AFC rival for the next decade. Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars will be on multiple primetime games over the next 10 years. You don't think so?
I'm not saying he won't, but I mean, let's see him prove it more.
The man threw 4 interceptions in the first half and then came back and won the game.
Against who?
Doesn't matter. It happens.
Yes, it does.
So does it matter? So it does not matter. Let me ask you: did Tua throwing 6 touchdowns in Baltimore matter? It does, doesn't it?
And I told you, it matters. It matters who they play.
Look, I'm telling you right now, Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars will be one of the teams to be reckoned with over the next 5 to 10 years in the NFL. They're going to be tough. Doug Peterson is the coach that I originally wanted, even over McDaniel. And I love McDaniel, but I would have took Doug Peterson over him every day. You wouldn't have took Doug Peterson over McDaniel?
I wouldn't have been unhappy with Doug Peterson.
Yeah.
But I like our coach. So, I mean, there's no argument there, right?
I mean, that's true. What do you think Devon A-Chain's going to be for us this year?
200 carries, 3 touchdowns, 450 yards.
That's it? So who's our leading rusher? Mozart?
Dalvin Cook.
As long as he's playing in the aqua and orange, I'm good with that. But if he's not, here's what I say. If Dalvin Cook is a Miami Dolphin, Devon A-Chain will not get a lot of carries. If Dalvin Cook is not a Miami Dolphin, Devon A-Chain is going to eventually have an opportunity this year to tote that rock on a regular basis.
I think Devon A-Chain was drafted not with this year in mind.
Oh, he's there for the future.
100%. He's a difference maker, and he's exactly the type of player that McDaniel loves to build offenses around. And when you have an opportunity to take a player like that, regardless of you make him fit. And so I think Mostert and Wilson get most of the carries. I think A-Chain gets more passes than carries, maybe. But we'll see about that.
Tell the people what you got going on for opening week for East 32 this year.
Hey, so before I leave East 32, we're expanding. We're bigger, better as we are every year. We've got an exclusive partnership now with Vesa Sewer Brewery. They are our 100% sponsor for every game. That's exciting. We're going to be running the podcast whenever Stephen D gets down here. Maybe we'll have someone else running the podcast, when he's not down here. Who knows? Maybe it's Nikki Smokes. Who knows?
I got a couple things in the work. We're going to talk. We got to talk next week.
We also will have raffles this year. We've got a signed Dan Marino jersey to raffle off during the tailgate that will start making offers on the podcast the week of game 1, the first home game.
Well, that's week 3. Week 3 is the first home game. Denver.
Yeah, week 3.
It'll be good times. What's on the grill? Do you know what you're going to do on the grill?
I have no clue yet, but I am coming to Baltimore.
When?
For the game.
Oh, New Year's Eve?
Yeah, Philadelphia, Baltimore, and I might do the throwdown Thanksgiving, Black Friday game.
I am. Solo and I talked yesterday. I'm officially going to the MetLife Takeover. I got a train ticket for $50 round trip, $25 one way, $25 back, and I'll be up there in the morning and come back down that night. So I am going to the MetLife Takeover.
Yeah, I'm gonna fly into Philadelphia, stay in Philadelphia, and take the train from Philly.
Well, I'll tell you what train I'll get on, and maybe we can just ride up to that way. You can meet. I can meet you in Philly, and we can go up together.
Boom! And I have hotel rooms for Frankfurt. I don't have tickets yet. I doubt I'll go to Frankfurt, but I do have hotel rooms.
Are you going to Germany?
I just said I don't have a ticket yet.
Did you hear what happened?
Yeah.
25 million people in the queue in like 5 minutes to get those tickets. 25 million people.
And there's also a lot of counterfeits out there right now that people are getting taken for. So just be careful.
I know. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. All right, man. Well, I love you, man. And I will talk to you next week. You'll be back. Hey, next week, Thursday, we're going to have the other Cam on with us as well. And we're going to talk Major League Baseball, and we're going to go into depth of everything. We're going to talk. We're going to break down the former Division I pitcher, my boy Cam, is going to come on, and Cameron Scott will be on, and I'll have the two Cams. I might have to rename the segment from back to back to the two Cam segment.
Hey, and for the upcoming season, we will have Tamaris in her picks again.
Tamaris is coming?
Yeah, man. In fact, she's back here living in the house, so we'll see what happens.
Hey, tell Tamaris come here and say hello real quick. Can she come here and say hello?
Man, she's still sleeping. Are you kidding me? But I got to go. Hey, listen, before I go, shout out to everyone in the chat. It's good to see everyone, level 2 cap, everyone with their good takes. But I also want to send a shout out and a prayer to Paris Love, who's back in the hospital.
I know. I saw
fighting his fight. So, let's. I'll keep him in your thoughts and prayers, man.
I will tell him I said hello if you get a chance to talk to him. All right, we'll see you next week, brother. Love you, man. Right. Be good.
See ya.
Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. All right, I'm going to open up the lines for the last hour of the show. This is going to be y'all's show. Whatever you guys want to talk about, you guys can get up here. If you guys want to talk movies, sports, Dolphins, my awesome hat. I saw PJ Mack. I think you said you're from the 757. Are you from the 7 cities, cuz? Yeah, Norfolk Tides, baby, all day. I grew up with the Tides. It's my hat. Somebody thought it was a Nike hat. I guess it does kind of look like the Nike swoosh. But yeah, this is the Norfolk Tides, AAA ball team of the Orioles now. But when I was growing up, they were the AAA team of the Mets. So you guys know my hat game is on point. I've been looking at like getting, so real quick, just so you know, it's July 20th. My birthday is August 13th. Okay. We're going to do, that's a Sunday. So I think we're going to celebrate my birthday either on that Friday spread. I think we're going to celebrate it on the 11th on the channel. Cause I don't think I'm going to be doing a show that Monday. I'm not sure yet. It all depends. Actually, I might have to, because we might have that first preseason game that weekend. Daggone it. Yeah, I will have to do it. First preseason game will be that Monday. So I will have to do it. But yeah, my birthday is August 11th. If you guys need to know, I'm 7 5/8 on the hat, and I also like snapbacks. All right, so snapbacks and tattoos. No, snapbacks and 7 5/8 on the fitted. New era is preferred, but you know, if you guys want to give me some hats, I'm always down. But you got to get some cool looking hats. They can't just be. They got to be very unique hats. Okay, like the one that DJ Genesis had at the end of the show on Tuesday this week was dope as hell. The laces and the Panthers logo with that brown and that red. Oh, fire. Absolute fire. Love it. Do you want an old school Bills hat or something new? PJ, level 2 noob. No. Minor league baseball. I love minor league baseball hats. And obviously, I do need to get some Marlins and Panthers stuff. Can never go wrong with the Heat either. But Dolphin stuff's always good too. But I do need to get some new hats, man. New hats. Yeah, that Panthers hat was nice. it wasn't it, DDG? You getting a Bills hat. Watch. I better not get no Bills hat, level 2 noob. Yeah, man. I got a 7 5/8, Manny. You know my head be big. What fitted is that? 7 5/8. This is a 7 5/8, I think. Yeah, 7 5/8. 7 5/8. Okay, there you go. A Golden Knights hat. I don't want no Golden Knights hat. No, what are y'all doing? DM me a shipping addy on Twitter. All right, I will. I'll DM. I better not get no Bills hat. So be super upset if I get a Bills hat. Pete's Take. What's up, Pete?
Hey, good morning, Steven. What's going on with you today? How you feeling?
How are you, man? Missed you, buddy.
Good.
How you been?
I'm good, man. I'm happy I'm up here with you today talking Dolphins, and I do have some thoughts of that been like ants going into their ant pile. They just been crawling in my head, dude, and it's been to the point where, let me tell you something. If Dalvin Cook signs with the Jets, how are you gonna feel?
I'll be very sad. I'll be very upset if that happens, and it won't be from a fear of, oh my God, he's going to be great for them. Although that's probably deep down in the back, probably at the end, at the middle of the gut, but it'll be more of FOMO, like, man,
Exactly, a fear of missing out
for us. Like I am like, if DeAndre Hopkins had went to the Patriots, I would have been like, man, but DeAndre Hopkins went to the Titans, so I could care less. So if anytime the Bills, the Jets, or the Patriots sign somebody that I'm like, oh my God, they're really good, like, it's going to be so weird seeing Gesicki in a Patriots uniform this year, because I like Gesicki, right? And I want to root for him, but I can't root for anybody on the Patriots or the Jets or the Bills. I just can't do it. I just can't.
I hear you. I hear you.
But if Gesicki happens to be a great tight end, but they lose every game in New England, I might do a little golf clap for Gesicki deep down inside, but you'll never see me physically do it.
What if this situation happens? The Jets get Cook, and the fan base is already setting up. Like, this is my opinion, the way I see, like, the fan base, the loud guys in the community, they're already setting their voice up to get to Leonard Fournette once we miss out on Dalvin Cook.
I've been leading that
leading
that Leonard Fournette
and you're one of those voices I'm talking about. But guess what? He's in the practice. He went to train with the Patriots. So there's a chance we missed out on Fournette.
So here's the thing. And this is just my thought on it, Pete. I don't think that the Dolphins have to do anything at linebacker. I think that they're happy with what they currently have there. Well, I think they're satisfied with what they had. Are they happy? That's probably extreme. But the upside of what A-Chain could be excites the hell out of them. So that's why I think the optimism is there as, well, if we just sit pat, hopefully A-Chain will turn out to be what we hope he can be. But there's still the unknown, right? You don't know what he's going to do from the pro to from the college to the pros. And you also know that your top two that are in front of him have somewhat of an injury bug in their history of their career. So you're gambling with the running backs. It is still a gamble. And so by going out and getting Dalvin Cook, you are giving yourself an insurance policy. You're getting one of the best backs in the league. And you're also, and this is down the list, but it's there, you're keeping him off the Jets roster, right? And that there's something to be said of that.
That last part, I do agree. If you're there worried about a player going to your competitor, you do snag him away. There's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion, if you value him as a good player. Now, if you see him as a washed out player, then you gamble and say, hey, you're messing your team up, like I see them doing. This is what I'm saying. If Dalvin Cook goes to the Jets, he wants to play for a contender, meaning he ditched us because we're not a contender in his eyes.
No,
that's the big story here.
I disagree with you.
No, that's what it is. That's what it falls down to, Steven. I'm sorry.
So look, I don't have sources. Cameron doesn't necessarily have sources, but Cameron knows a lot of people in South Florida that through, what he does for a living. He is telling me that it's either the Jets or the Dolphins, and he's like willing to be very comfortable 95% saying it's going to be one of those two teams. I'm on board with that. I also know that the Dolphins have a lowball offer that is out there for him, whether it's an official offer or numbers that have just been discussed between the Dolphins and his representative, whatever. But if that is the case, I don't see if the Dolphins lose out to him with the Jets, it's purely a financial decision. It has nothing to do with that other than this is what's best for me financially. And to be fair, he's not going to a bad team. He's going to a quote unquote Super Bowl contending team, according to a lot of people. Do I think they're a Super Bowl contender? No, but that's me. And I'm also
but that's what exactly. You got to leave your bias out of it. Right now, it feels like he's going to pick the Jets because he feels they're a closer step to the Super Bowl. And you know what? And you know what? I'll be honest.
If the Dolphins,
if James Cook wasn't a Buffalo Bill, if his brother didn't play for Buffalo, he would have been a Buffalo right now. He would have been signed to Buffalo.
I don't know if he would have signed, but I would say that they would 100% be in the running. And it's not that he doesn't want to play with his brother, but he doesn't want to play with his brother yet. He doesn't want to steal the spotlight from his brother. He wants his brother to have a legit chance to make a name for himself. So, to me, looking at the Jets and the Dolphins, I think he views both of them equally. So then it's not about what team can help me get a Super Bowl. I think both of them can get me to a Super Bowl. It's who's going to pay me the most. And the Jets are going to give him a significant. It's not going to be
no. It's not who's going to pay you the most. I'm telling you, it's where he feels he's going to get a ring. He's at the back ladder of his career. He knows he's not going to get any faster, stronger, or even better.
We're going to have to agree to disagree. If he picks the Jets, it'll be because of money. It will not be because they're better.
There's no other place. He has more marketing money here.
He will come out and say if the Jets sign him, here's what his press conference will be. Well, the Jets are a great organization here. They have a long tenure. I picked the Jets because, they have a former Super Bowl, or they have a former Super Bowl winner, former NFL MVP and Aaron Rodgers. And, honestly, this was the best place for me to further my career. And I think this team's going to give me the best opportunity to make a run at a Super Bowl. That's exactly what Dalvin Cook will say in the press conference. But
that will be true. That will be true. Those are true words.
There will be more zeros added. There will be a higher number at the beginning of those zeros, which
I don't know if you felt. I don't know if you guys fail to realize this,
would allow him to go to the Jets.
I don't know if you guys fail to realize this, but when players tend to go to Super Bowl contenders, they almost rarely ever go there for a big bag. They're chasing a ring, meaning they're willing to get a discount to get that ring on their finger. So he's going to get a discount because he picks the Jets as Super Bowl.
To go to the Jets? No way.
Yes,
if he's taking a discount anywhere,
Brees Hall was just put on the pup list. Brees Hall was just put on the pup list, physically inactive, perform list. He's not going to start off the year. They need a running back. Dalvin Cook is that guy. And they already traded Denzel Mims. They're making moves. I feel like Cook is about to sign this weekend.
Listen to me. He's either signing with the Dolphins for $4 to $7 million tops. Okay. And if it's 7, it's with incentives. It's not base salary, but it'll be 4 to 7. If he signs with the New York Jets, it'll be between $8 and $10 million. Mark my words, 7.5 being the lowest, maybe. But I think it'll be more likely like an $8 million deal with the Jets or a $4 million deal with the Dolphins. And then you have to take into account the taxes, which probably puts it at like $6 million or $6.3 million for the Jets to Dolphins 4.5.
Bro, I think the Jets will offer him $3 million. We offer him $4 million, and he'll still rather go to New York and win a Super Bowl.
No, he will not, Pete.
Yes, bro. Like, that's the reality I'm sitting in, and we'll see according to the sources. All these guys have sources. They claim to have, oh, yeah. If it was up to their sources, we would have had Dalvin Cook last year. That's pretty much it. And a couple of the things are based on your title, Steven, the camp battles that I'm looking forward to. I know the fan base wants to already give it to David Long, but there was a lot of plays last year that I saw Duke Riley coming in. He showed really good things on film. If people actually pay attention to Duke Riley, he's instinctive, he's smart, he's fast, he's strong. And I just like Duke Riley and that camp battle position. And it wouldn't shock me, Steven, if our starting middle linebackers are Duke Riley and Jerome Baker next year. It wouldn't shock me.
I will disagree with you. David Long is a really you guys, the grading scale of what I would probably say is below average, average, good, really good, or excuse me, below average, average, above average, good, really good.
What are you talking about?
An elite, like my grading scale, right? So my grading scale for David Long is he's really good, minimum. Like he's a really good football player. He's probably he's a Pro Bowler. Like he's really good. And I don't think that, Jerome Baker can hold his jockstrap, to be perfectly honest.
Jerome Baker is our number 1 starting middle linebacker.
He is the leading tackler of a team that has been
is number 1 linebacker.
Hold on,
listen to me. David Long is not better than Jerome Baker. In what world?
David Long is 100% better than Jerome Baker.
Oh my God! Somebody time Steven out for me, please. How?
David Long is 100% better than Jerome Baker, and it's not even close.
Oh my God! How come right now in training camp, Jerome Baker's job is not up for grabs, but David Long with his tender thigh, his job is not secure. It's not secure. We're looking for that second middle linebacker spot where David Long lies. He's not our number 1. It's Jerome Baker. Where do you get this? Where do you guys fit that David Long is already past Jerome Baker on this roster?
Right,
where?
Here we go. All right.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna bring up the stats for you. Okay.
No, I don't want to. I don't need stats. I know whose team this is. This is Jerome Baker's team. He calls the shots here. David Long is gonna second fiddle to Jerome Baker if he could beat out guys like Channing Tindall, if he could beat out guys like Duke Riley, if he could beat out the other middle linebackers on the roster. It's not gonna be that Jerome Baker loses his job to these guys. It's gonna be David Long, Steven. Open your eyes. This guy is not what you're making him seem to be. We can't sit here and say every new player that comes to our team is automatically the best and the starter at that position. That's not the case here. He's a backup at best. He might contribute more than Duke Riley. I wouldn't take it out, but he's fighting for that second linebacker spot. He's not at number 1 where Jerome Baker is. Heck no.
I'll tell you what. The stats actually prove your story a lot more than it does mine. I'll give you that. I'll give you that the stats back up your theory. David Long has played a total of 4 years, right? But in that 4 years' time, okay, I need you to understand he's only started. He hasn't played a full season yet because he's got injuries, right? But I'm talking about when he's healthy, right? He started no games in 2019, started 5 games in 2020. Started 9 games in 2021 and started 12 games in 2022. He only played in 12 games last year. He played in 10 the year before that, and he played 14 and 14 the 2 prior years before that. So he's never played 16 or 17 games in a season, okay? He's played in a total of 50 games in 4 years, where Jerome Baker has played in a total of 81, which is 31 more games he's played in than Jerome Baker. Now, with that being said, okay, with almost half the numbers, okay, and by the way, Jerome Baker started 70 and hold on. Jerome Baker started 70. David Long stats. Hold on. I closed it out. I don't know why I closed out. And David Long started 26 games. David Long started 26 games to Jerome Baker 70. Jerome Baker has 509 combined tackles, which is solo and assisted. Okay. David Long, in only 26 games started, has 230 So almost half, and way amount of less of games.
Yeah, but you got to take it to
Way
consideration.
amount less.
But you're not putting things into perspective, though, Steven. He's coming over here from Tennessee, who played in a 4-3 front. He's switching schemes. He doesn't know where he's going to fit in this defense. He has to find a spot. Jerome Baker knows it in and out. He just has to learn the language. He's already been in this 3-4. David Long, to me, seems like, yes, he could be a tackling machine, but I'm not here saying he's our starting middle linebacker right now. He needs to earn it. And the fact that he misses a lot of games is a question mark, due in part where if there's a guy in camp and their level of play is almost identical, but he gets paid less, let's just say Duke Riley, but Duke Riley is more consistent and stays on the field more, I'll give the nod to Duke Riley. Yeah, I really would. Why not? He's been in the 3-4 last year. He's been on this team. Vic Fangio could teach him a thing or two,
I like
and I could see that
So
that
I
pair
like
being the next guy going up.
I like Duke
That's
Riley.
who I think.
I like Duke Riley a lot. I think Duke Riley brings a lot to special teams. I think he brings a lot to the end of the linebacking, at the end of the linebacker room, right? If you have to rely on Duke Riley, things went horribly wrong. Now, I will say this. Malik Reed, Vic Fangio's boy. Andrew Van Ginkel was the first call that Fangio made this offseason to retain. So
yeah, everybody is somebody's boy, Steven, until they're not their boy. Cal Van Noy.
I mean, there's truth in that statement, but let me tell you right now, I don't think Malik Reed's going anywhere, and I don't think Bradley Chubb's going anywhere, obviously, and we know that David Long's not going anywhere because he was one of the first free agents that were non-Miami Dolphins signed, non-Miami Dolphin free agent. And Ginkel. So there's 4 linebackers right there. Van Ginkel, David Long.
What if David Long does not suit up for
Reed.
training camp, or he gets hurt early in training camp? He won't make the roster.
Who? Malik Reed?
David Long Jr. If he hurts his hammy and he's not practicing in training camp and we don't see him in preseason,
all right, so
he's not making the roster.
I'll say this. David Long is not getting cut at all. If David Long's not on the roster week 1, the only logical thing is that he's on the IR. And God forbid that happens. Let's knock on wood. I'm going to say that right now.
So let's say he has a bad hammy, right? And it's not ready, and it limits him from practicing in training camp. It limits him to play preseason. You think he's still going to be a confirmed starter? A confirmed roster spot, like it's his no matter what, even if we didn't see him.
He'll be on the IR or the IL, whatever. He'll be on the IL. He's not getting released. He is a lock to make the 53. He's 100% a lock to make the 53, and it's not even close. I mean, if you had to ask me a linebacker that has a chance, like to me, the 3 biggest, like Jerome Baker's not going anywhere because of his $17 million. $17 million for Jerome Baker this year. That's his cap hit. He's not going anywhere.
I wouldn't be shocked if we trade him.
Who's taking on his contract?
Maybe the Giants, if we could push him over there for a Saquon trade or something.
On his contract? Nobody's taking on by the way, yes, Jerome Baker's been our leading tackler 3 out of the last 4 years. He's also been like number 28, 29, or 30th in tackles in the league. So he's been at the bottom of the league. Yes, he's led our team in tackles, but who cares if he's at the bottom of the league? It's irrelevant. So Baker's going to stay because he's $17 million ultimately. He's not going anywhere because of that alone. Now, with all of that being said, Pete, my personal opinion is they're going to keep 10 or 11 people in the secondary. And I just don't know who's going to be the odd man out. And in my opinion, I don't see a world where Malik Reed, Channing Tindall, and Duke Riley
last year,
I don't think all 3 of them can make the roster. One of them.
Why does it sound like an echo?
I don't know.
Last year we kept 6 corners and 4 safeties. That's 10 in the secondary.
You said we fenced 6 corners and 4 safeties. Okay. And how many linebackers did we keep last year?
I think we had 8 outside linebackers.
We had 8
8 linebackers.
Did that include Jalen Phillips?
Linebackers. Yeah, that includes all the linebackers. Jalen Phillips, Chubb. Let me see
Okay.
the.
All right. So Jalen Phillips, David Long, Jerome Baker, Bradley Chubb is 4. Andrew Van Ginkel's 5. Malik Reed is 6. Okay. So you're telling me that they're going to keep 2 more? They're going to keep 8 linebackers?
They kept 8 last year.
In a traditional defense, which, by the way, was run by Boyer. Now we have Vic Fangio, and he's loaded in the secondary. And by the way, even the guys at the end of the bench in the secondary can do open field tackling.
Okay,
They
so let's
can
do the
rush
compare.
quarterback.
Let's do the compare from this year to last year. What do you think is going to change? Last year we kept 3 quarterbacks. We kept 4 running backs. We had 1 fullback, 5 wide receivers, 5 tight ends, 8 offensive linemen, 6 defensive linemen, 8 linebackers, 6 corners, 4 safeties, and 3 special teams. That's 53. That's what we did last year to start the season around this time when we did the cuts for preseason. That's what we kept.
So say it one more. Say it one more time. I'm sorry. Give it to me one
We
more time.
quarterbacks were 3,
Yep.
running backs we kept 4, fullback
Okay.
was
All
1.
right. Hold on.
Wide,
So running back 4 last year, right?
yep.
All right.
Fullback
So
1.
I hold on. I think that if Dalvin is not here, I could see us going 4. Okay, with Alec Ingold. Go ahead. But part of the reason for that is we had 5 tight ends. I don't
We
think we're
did have
keeping
5
5 tight ends
receivers and
this
5
year.
tight ends. See, everybody's in agreement that I speak with about this. Everybody says we're not going to go with 5 tight ends again.
We're gonna go with
And
4 tight ends this year.
I could see 4 tight ends and 6 receivers because that extra tight end was just to keep Gesicki on that franchise tag.
Correct.
It was forced upon us. He was our 6th receiver.
I would concur with that. So they did 5 last year at tight end. You and I both think they're going 4 this year.
And that number, to me, that number is going to go to receiver. So that means 6 receiver, 4 tight end, and everything else is almost the same.
And when running backs, we will say 5, including Alec Ingold. Or are you saying 6, including Alec Ingold?
It's 4 running backs. The fullback position is on his own. If you want to put
okay,
it into one fullback.
So do you think that was last year? 4 running backs plus Ingold, right?
Plus 1 fullback, which was Ingold, correct?
Yep. So I'll say 5 in the backfield, including Ingold. This year, do you think they're going 5 running backs or 5 running backs with Ingold or 4 running backs with Ingold?
I think we're going 4 running backs with Ingold.
All right. I can deal with that. And who's the odd man out? Salvin Ahmed or Myles Gaskin?
Gaskins.
I think so too. I agree with you. All right. And then the wide receiver room for you?
The wide receiver room is probably going to be, for sure, Hill, Waddle, Cedric Wilson.
You don't believe Cedric's going to get traded?
I wouldn't be shocked if it happens, but that's going to take another team to want him. But I think this fan base is going to love.
I'll give you that. So let's go on the contention that they can't trade Cedric. He's going to stay. He's
my number 3 right now. The number 4 is going to be a battle between Braxton Berrios and River Craycraft and EZE, and those are the 3 guys we're going to keep right there.
And you don't think Chosen's making the squad?
I don't think he's probably going to make the squad.
Well, I disagree. I think it's Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Robbie Chosen. Let's say Cedric stays because they can't get rid of him. There's 4. Braxton Berrios is 5. River Craycraft is 6. I agree that they're going to keep 6 wide receivers, but I think it's going to be those 6, and they will Freddie Swain, Braylon Sanders, and Eric Ezukama will try to be on the practice squad. I ultimately think that if Cedric Wilson is dealt, then it will be a battle for Freddie Swain and Eric Ezukama as that last pick for number 6. If Cedric is traded,
he's just going to have a really big preseason and a huge training camp. And that's where I think he's not going to have it. I'm talking about Robbie Anderson.
Chosen.
It was pretty in shorts. I get it.
I promise you on
but
everything.
Wait till this guy gets the pads and the cornerbacks that we have. Bro,
making.
And I'm telling you right now, Cam Smith is gonna jam that guy up on the line in practice. Not gonna let that guy do anything in camp. Cam Smith is gonna lock that guy down. That's honestly a thing. And another thing when it comes to Cam Smith, Steven, I don't see this guy as someone that's gonna just not play. Listen to what I'm telling you. This guy is gonna force Vic Fangio to make positional changes on defense. I wouldn't be shocked. Listen to me clearly, bro. If they move Javon to strong and put Xavier into free safety because of Cam Smith and his tenacity and his nastiness of the ball. He's just a physical corner. I know, Pete, we haven't seen him. He's a rookie. He's a second rounder. But look at the confidence he showed, stepping back, telling the organization, I'll sign this contract whenever I want. We have to make these wordings into the it took a while to sign that contract. And there had to be wording put in there that he's gonna want to play based on if he practices good. I guarantee it. That's just my opinion based on what I think. But Cam Smith is going to be a guy that week 1, I wouldn't be shocked if he's starting alongside Jalen Ramsey and they're moving X in the slot or in free safety. They move X around or vice versa, Jalen Ramsey. But they're going to put Cam Smith on that field and he's going to be a starting cornerback when it comes week 1. Book it.
It's not going to happen week 1, but
week 1, Cam Smith is going to line up against Quentin Johnson of the Chargers, and that's going to be a show to watch, okay? Their first-round rookie versus our second-round rookie. Let's get it.
I promise, Pete, I agree with you that eventually Cam Smith is going to be a dog. He's going to be a beast, all right? That man's going to play some games, all right? And he's going to start some games. He's going to get some interceptions. He's going to get some tackles. Let me tell you right now, Cam Smith going to be a dog. All right, I love Cam, but there's going to be a transition period for him, and it's not going to happen overnight. So I don't think he starts week 1, but come, after maybe the first month, I think we're going to be all in awe of some of the plays that he's made, and we're going to be like, that man's starting to get more snaps. When it's all said and done, Cam will be a starter. And we'll get most of the snaps. And I think that I would agree with you. I could see X taking a step back as far as snaps are concerned on the field. He's not.
No.
Xavier.
We're just going to rotate Xavier Howard. He's tender leg as well. So he's going to get hurt.
Wayne B experienced being mean with his $2 thing says we are all getting dumber each second. Thanks, Pete. PETA.
He's talking about PETA. We don't know who PETA is.
I don't know who PETA is either. I've never heard of PETA, Pete.
Complaint to the complaint division about that one.
Go to Karen at HR.
But yeah, that's just what I see. That's what I foresee about our team in the future. I think week 1, week 1, that guy's going to get a pick 6, bro. Justin Herbert is going to throw him a pick 6 because he's going to force it to the rookie he has in the first round.
I had somebody in the back room that wanted to say something to you. He just dropped off for a second. I hope he gets back on. But I have a couple of other
I'm gatekeeping, Steven. Nobody up with me. If you're ready to let somebody else up, I'll have my turn. I don't want to speak. I had a great conversation with you. I'm not ready to get there. So I appreciate you letting me up. You got somebody back there, let them up, and I'll rock out, man. Have a good day.
Hey, Pete, man, I appreciate the love, man. Donate to the channel, hit the like button, tell the people where to come every morning, man. Love you, brother. Be good.
Say Skylar Thompson is QB1 soon, and I'll donate $10.
Skylar Thompson will be number.
Skylar Thompson soon. Is QB1 soon.
Skylar Thompson is QB soon.
Okay, perfect. I love it. Thank you, Steven. I know. Bye.
All right, bye. He don't know what I really said, does he? Does he though? Does he? All right. What's up, Irving?
What is up? My guy's a lot of capping this morning. Anyways,
the cap was real today, man. You thought I was cap until he came up.
Had me like a lie detector this morning, bro. Like a human lie detector. Cap. What's up, bro?
Being a man of his word, $10 donation. Appreciate it, Pete. Thank you, man. Appreciate it, brother. What's up, man? What do you want to talk about this morning?
Nah, nothing much. I mean, I wanted to address a couple points that Pete made up here. Tennessee actually ran a 3-4, not a 4-3. David Long is going to be our starting linebacker. And, I mean, the guy had a 76.2 overall grade, 14 among linebackers. He had an 89 run defense grade, 5th ranked among linebackers, and an 80.1 pass rushing grade, 6th among linebackers. So the guy is going to be our starting middle linebacker, and he'll play perfectly in our 3-4 defense. And Fangio plays different types of fronts and schemes, so his defense is multiple. So
what do you think about PFF already ranking our defense top 5 in the NFL preseason?
Well, I think they're right, because I think with all the talent that we have,
I think that's extreme. I'm excited
top
about
5?
it, but are we top 5 already? I don't know about that.
I would say, to be honest, Steven, I think I'll rank them somewhere in the top 10, just because of the talent they have on the team. I don't know, maybe top 5 is a little too much, but I would say definitely top 10. I would say maybe number 8 or 7 overall. But our linebackers is a little bit of a question mark. But Jerome Baker is a very good linebacker. He made improvements as well. Especially, he made a huge jump in pass coverage. That's something that he lacked for his couple of years. I think overall he had a 78 PFF grade. So it's like, there's definitely improvement. He's actually become better against the run. Like, he's come off blocks a little bit better. He's, picked the proper holes this time. And the Steelers game is an example of that. And he did good jobs reading the running backs on certain like zone runs and stuff. So he's made an improvement. Obviously, he's not worth what he's getting paid, but he's still an improved linebacker. And you can ask him to do a lot. You can ask him to play in the inside or on the outside as a one of those outside linebackers. You can ask him to blitz, and he's a good blitzer. So I think Fangio is going to have fun with those 2 linebackers, because both of them are very athletic. They're very twitchy, athletes with fluid hips. They can cover a lot of ground with their sideline to sideline speed. So he's going to have fun with these guys. So I don't think we're going to have a problem with our linebackers. I think he's going to also experiment Andrew Van Ginkel, who's more like an on-ball linebacker. Now he's going to have him play more off-ball. So that'd be pretty cool too. Obviously, Duke Riley is going to be part of the rotation. I like our pass rushers, man. I like that. I think that Bradley, having Bradley Chubb had played in Vic Fangio's scheme, and Malik Reed, because when both of them played in Denver, they were really disruptive. They also got a lot of sacks together. So having that rotation, along with what we already have with Jalen Phillips, and now a healthy Emmanuel Ogbah, I think we're going to have one of the more deeper pass rushing rotations in the league. And you need to have that, because Fangio's scheme asks for their front 4 or 3 to create natural organic pass rush.
Is that you?
Yeah, that's Alexa. But
tell her to shut up, man. Tell her
to shut up. I'm talking. So I think if you can create natural organic pass rush and not have to blitz as much, and maybe throw like more stunts, which we didn't do enough of last year, I think that's a great way of disrupting the quarterback and getting to his face and make him feel comfortable. Because I think we blitzed a lot, right? We were one of the top 5 teams in blitzing. Well, and
we were when Flores was here. I don't know if that was the case last year.
Yeah, Boyer was the same thing. We blitzed about the same. It was pretty similar.
And if it was, he didn't do a very effective job of it.
I agree. And I learned this from somebody on Twitter. We had him on one of our spaces, and Miami actually disguised their defense the least. At least 22nd in the NFL. They disguised their defense 12.5% of the time, which was not very good, because when you're the quarterback, Miami's defense, most of the time is pretty much the same. So with Fangio, he's going to throw a lot more disguises. So he might give you like a cover 2 look, for example, like 2 safeties, and then he'll give you something completely different when the ball is snapped. So that's going to be tricky. Having some disguises, making our defense unpredictable is going to make the quarterback think and make them get confused. Hopefully it results to turnovers, interceptions, etc. So I'm excited about that. I mean, I think we have enough talent and to become a top 5 defense, but I think right now I'll be comfortable saying they're number 8.
Yeah, I mean, look, I look around the rest of the NFL, and I think, you know, the Dolphins stacking up compared to the NFL, they have one of the most elite rosters, right? I think,
Right.
You know, PFF giving us the number 5 preseason poll for best defense in the NFL is a little bit ludicrous from the jump of what a team can make overnight. But from a personnel standpoint, I think that what was already in place here for Fangio, what he added to it, and what he's going to be able to do with what he has excites the hell out of everybody. I look around the NFL and I say, well, we had a top 10 offense last year. I'd like to believe we will have a top 10 defense this year, complemented with another top 10 offense. If we have a top 10 defense and a top 10 offense, it's very rare that those teams don't go deep into the playoffs. There's examples of them where they have not even, I think there's been a couple where they haven't even made the playoffs, but it'd be very hard to do if that was the case.
I think the Eagles were one of them, right? In 2011, they were like really talented.
They were like, yeah, they were top 10 in defense and top 10 on offense, and I don't think they made the playoffs. But
yeah,
but so I know there are examples out there. But if you do, but if the Dolphins are top 10 in defense and are top 10 in offense, I mean, I just don't see how the rest of the NFL is going to really compete with us on a week-to-week basis. You know, I saw some takes, you know, national people, Julian Edelman, saying that the Dolphins are going to take a step back this year. That's absurd to me to have that take. He probably thinks that the Patriots are going to be good too this year. And if that is his take about the Patriots and the Dolphins taking a step back, I mean, it's all biased anyway. But you know, there are people on the national media that are also giving the Dolphins their credit. Here's the thing, right? It's you got to be like Missouri. You got to be like St. Louis. You got to show me. You got to be the show me state. And one of the things that the Miami Dolphins have not done over a certain amount of time is show the fans that you can be contenders on a week to week, a month to month, and a year.
Right. Instead of just being streaky.
Just being streaky, which is what even with
happened last year.
And last year under McDaniel.
Yeah.
We are a very streaky team. If the Dolphins want to win 13 games this year or 12 games, they need to not only have a big ass winning streak or 2 in there. It needs to be something that is not followed up by a continuous losing streak. If the Dolphins lose any more than 2 games in a row this year, something is going wrong. Like we need to really, if the Dolphins have a 3-week losing streak this year in some way, shape, or form, alert the presses, because that means something's not going right, and we need to take a hard inventory on what's going on here and what the issue is.
Yep.
Now,
didn't we have like
now, Irving, it could be that, you know, Tua's maybe out, God forbid, knock on wood. If that's the case and they're on a 3-game losing streak, we can definitely point the finger to that. But again, people are saying, well, these are excuses. No, I need Dolphin fans to understand this. On paper, we have a great team. Not a good team, a great team. We have the fastest players in the NFL right now. Devon Achane, Raheem Mostert, and obviously Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. We have Cam Smith, I think, is super fast as well. We have the fastest team. We are faster than the greatest show on turf was with St. Louis all those years ago with Kurt Warner, Torrey Holt, and what's his name? Why can't I think? Marshall Faulk. Okay.
Yeah.
We have the greatest show on the field.
In grass. Because they had a AstroTurf everything.
Yeah, I mean it's we're the greatest show on AstroTurf. We're the fastest men alive. Whatever you want, whatever Nick, the Legion of Zoom, as people like to say. Okay. If the Dolphins are what I think that they are, and hope that they are, as your neighborhood local opium dealer, I think that the Dolphins can be. It's one of those years as a Dolphins fan in 2023? What was that? What was that football season like as a fan? Oh my God, it was amazing. It was unbelievable. Like I'm a big baseball fan, right? And so
Right.
I'm a big O's fan. And so the summer of 2012, for me, over
You guys
10
beat us. I'm gonna appreciate that, but
the summer of 2012 as an Orioles fan for me, I went to my wife and I, that was what, 11 years ago. My wife and I had just I think we had just gotten married or right on the verge of getting married, somewhere in that range. It was right at the beginning of our
Right.
marriage, or right before it. And I was it was the only summer in my life. I was always a 13-game season ticket holder for the Orioles for years, up until about 3 years ago. And then I'm not a season ticket holder to anything now. But I was a season ticket holder for like a decade plus of at least 13 games to the Orioles. And in 2021, I had just gotten a big raise and I had gotten some money, and I said, screw it, I'm going to go 81 games for 2 seats up in the nosebleed. And so I paid for 2 seats up in the nosebleed. I think it came to like $1,400 that year or something like that. And it was 81 games, and I knew all of the ushers in the lower levels. And I went to probably 50 to 60 games that year. And I was known as the mayor of Camden Yards that summer. I mean, I was at all the games. Well, that summer, the Orioles, 45 home games went to extra innings that year, something like that. It was like 45 to 51 home games went to extra innings. So that when I was to the stadium, the ushers would be like, well, we're not going home on time tonight. Steven's here. We're definitely going to extra innings.
Oh,
And
man.
it was, to this day, the summer of 2012 at Camden Yards was one of my greatest memories as a sports fan, going to the park on a night in, night out basis, experiencing that with the team, and just being engrossed into what that atmosphere is like. And I think as Dolphins fans, we're going to get that this year in 2023. People are going to see this team.
I think it's about time, Steve. Like,
yeah, I my hope is that they're not just winning, but they're dominating. Right. And you're walking away every Sunday saying, oh, we're that much closer to February, baby. Let's go. Right. And it's not even an ego thing or a cockiness thing. It's a confidence swagger about them. And that's what I want. I want Dolphins fans to have this swagger about themselves, something of which I have never personally felt as a Dolphins fan. I've always been, hey, I love the Dolphins. I'll rock the Dolphins all day. I got a tattoo. I'm out, right? Almost every day up here in Maryland where I live at, right? Like, people know I have Dolphin stuff on my car. People know I'm a Dolphins fan, right? But the joke always is at least that I get all the time is, oh man, there's only 3 great Dolphins people in this world, and that's Flipper, Echo, and Dan Marino, right? And then
oh my God,
I've got that joke over the
years. Oh my goodness.
And living up here in the Baltimore area, everything's purple everywhere with all these crappy Ravens fans. I give them crap all the time, but they're used to winning, right? They got a couple Super Bowls in the last 20 years, and they're consistently in the playoffs, but they have this swagger about themselves that they're like, we can win any Sunday. It doesn't matter who. Like, they're very confident in Harbaugh. They love him,
right?
And even Patriot fans for 20 plus years felt that way up until Brady left, pretty much, right? They had this swagger about themselves. Hey, look, we're the Patriots. We're gonna win. We don't care if we cheat to win. I'm not saying I want to be cheating to win, but they knew that they were going to win. When they walked into a building, they were gonna win. When they were down by 2 touchdowns in the third quarter, it didn't matter. They had Tom Brady. They could come back. I want that for the Dolphins fans. I want Dolphins fans to go into a game and say, oh, screw it. We're down by 21 points going into the fourth quarter. You know who we have at quarterback, cuz? Tua Tagovailoa. You know who we have at wide receiver? Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. Let's go. Let's do it, man. And that's ultimately what I want from this team, is I want them to say, hey, look, we have this confidence about you. And I want Dolphins fans to feel like that for at least 1 year. And because I felt a little bit of that as an Orioles fan, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
not as big of an Orioles fan as I am a Miami Dolphins fan. I live
Right.
and eat the Miami Dolphins, but when it comes to, you know, them being competitive or not even just competitive, when them, you know, being a competitor on a week in, week out basis and being in every game. There's something that a friend of mine, I used to work in radio up here in Baltimore, and I'm sorry, I'm
No, you're good, bro. I'm listening.
There's something that he used, Jeremy Kahn. Jeremy Kahn does radio out here in Baltimore. I have to have him on as a guest one soon. But Jeremy Kahn is part of the reason I really got into doing this show. He was a mentor of mine. I was his junior associate producer on a couple of the afternoon shows when I used to work at the radio here in Baltimore area 10 plus years ago. And Jeremy said something that has always kind of stuck with me, and it's so simple, it's stupid. Good teams find a way to win.
Always.
And
most of the time.
I never quite understood that for me as a fan, but understood that from afar as he, you know, for people that love Peyton Manning, right? Like good teams find a way to win. There were years the Colts would win what, 11, 12, 13 games year in and year out. Brett Favre, and then eventually Aaron Rodgers. 11, 12, 13 games every year. It was money. Every year they were going to go to the NFC divisional or the NFC championship game and maybe a super, you know, they had a chance at the Super Bowl every year. And it's like that way for the Kansas City Chiefs now, right? Kansas City Chiefs go every year saying, hey, man, I need to plan about maybe even, you know, where we're going to stay, where the Super Bowl is this year so that we can enjoy Super Bowl week, right?
Yeah.
When have the Dolphins
I wish I could do that as a fan.
Like I'm 34 years old. I was born in 88. And you know, I know that some of the people up here are a little bit older than me, and some of them are a lot a bit older than me. But
yeah,
I don't remember the Dolphins. Like I can't imagine what it's like to be like, you know, when the season's over for me, the season's over. That's it, you know. And that's how it's been. That's how it's been for them. And I want to see them do very, very well. So I don't know what it's going to take for the Dolphins to get to that point. I think that the closest they ever been is right now in my lifetime. And that's what scares me, because it sounds too good to be true as a Dolphins fan, how good this team really is right now.
Right.
It sounds too good to be true. So in my heart of hearts, I can't believe it. And I don't even really want to believe it because I don't want my heart ripped away. I am so scared as a fan.
I know.
Of getting my heart ripped out from this team this year. Because
me too. That's my biggest fear.
I am pumped up. I'm taking all the hopium I can. I got my full supply of hopium, and I am on board. And checks have been written, and they're waiting to be cashed. And I'm at the bank ready to win my lottery ticket from the standpoint of I just want this euphoric feeling of the Dolphins being a going to the Super Bowl.
Right.
I have imagined that day since I was a child of 4 or 5 years old. I have imagined the Dolphins winning a Super Bowl. And especially growing up into my teen years of really, you know, dreaming, just daydreaming. Oh, man, what would a parade be like in South Florida? What would, honestly, you know what I've dreamed up the most as a Dolphins fan? As a Miami Dolphins fan, I have dreamed of the AFC Championship game and knowing that I'm going to the Super Bowl. That, even more than winning the Super Bowl, I've dreamed of just getting to the Super Bowl. I know. Just get me there. God, I want to know what that feeling is like. You know how, so this year, Dolphins made the playoffs and made the AFC wild card game, and they were playing the Bills. And right. I remember after the season, we won that low-scoring, ridiculous game against the Jets, 11-9.
Oh, that was awful. Right? But still, we won.
We won, right? And so people were like, all right, we're coming off this losing streak, and yes, we won, but we didn't even score a touchdown. It was very anticlimactic, right? With how we got in and that we got in, right? And so I was saying, but I said to myself, because I went to the Pittsburgh game several years ago when the Dolphins got to the AFC wild card and they played against the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh. And I remember that game and I had fun, but I took it for granted because I thought we were going to be back there. For some reason, I had this.
Oh yeah, 2016.
Oh, we'll be back. We're on the up and up. Ryan Tannehill's going to get healthy next year, and we're going to be good. We're going to be a good team. The future is looking bright for the Miami Dolphins. Well, let me just tell you, if you didn't know, as Dolphin fans, that didn't happen. Okay, that did not go down, and my heart was ripped out the next year. It was ripped, and it was. Why I don't want to just make the freaking playoffs.
And the only one really was playing was Jarvis Landry. He was the only one that showed up in that game.
That was it. And hell, Tyler Thigpen took a snap in that game. People don't remember.
Holy crap.
I want to see. I just want to see the Dolphins be legit contenders, winning on a week in, week out basis, being the team that we all want them to be. We're great and amazing fans now on the show that watch the show. And we're there and we're here because of the love for the Dolphins and some of the people in the fan base we've gotten to meet. But you take all that and add a winning team on top of it that you root for, the reason that you come together anyway, and you make them a winner. And after years and years of losing,
goodness.
I know I give Cameron shit, and I know I give Neville 2 New shit about being Chicago Cubs fans. But I can't imagine what it would be like to be a Chicago Cubs fan after 108 years of never losing.
And winning that title in 2016. Oh, my God.
I've asked plenty of Cubs fans, and they said it's the most euphoric, amazing feeling I've ever had in my life.
I bet.
They were grown men that straight up told me they cried their eyes out when the Cubs won the World Series, because they were their fathers were fans of them their entire lives and never got to see a champion.
And yep.
Right.
Yep.
And so I've never gotten to see a Miami Dolphins Super Bowl, and I love the Miami Dolphins that way. And they win a Super Bowl, man. I will be very emotional. I will be crying my eyes out. I'll be like, I love you, man. I love you so much. Oh my God, I love you. That's how I'm gonna be. And I'm just gonna be a big ball of tears and snot. And I'm gonna be so happy to be a big bowl of tears and snot. And that's that. And we're gonna love every second of it. It's gonna be beautiful. Level 2 Noob said, I cried. I got no problem admitting that. Crypto says, yes, it was good. Cubs Nation. Look, man, I
bet.
I want that.
Man. Especially that we've been miserable for like 25 years, and we're like, our franchise has been accustomed to winning throughout its history, right? Like, you look at the 25-year history of Don Shula, and he's the most winningest coach in NFL history. You know, in that era in the 70s, we won 2 Super Bowls back to back, the perfect season. We had some great rosters with, Paul Warfield and Mercury Morris and Bob Greasy and Larry Zonka and Jim Kick, and on you had the no-name defense with Manny Fernandez and Dick Anderson and those boys, and all those guys, and then you had the Killer Bees in the 80s and Marino and the Marx brothers. So we've always been, we've been to 5 Super Bowls, won 13 AFC division titles and 5 AFC championships. Like, we've been accustomed to winning. Then just suddenly fall off and be in this like almost 30-year period of mediocrity where we're like flirting with losing records and 500. It's terrible.
Real quick, Irving. I was watching I watched tons of podcasts, so I don't know which one it was, but I was watching like a social media clip of a podcast, and they said the top 10 losing teams in the NFL of all time. And I was like, well, the Dolphins got to be in there somewhere. They're not in there. And that's because they were so good in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, right?
Right.
was born in 88. They stopped being good around the late 90s, like really good around the late 90s. They were
Right.
good in the late 90s, early 2000s.
It started in 99
and then
when they
dropped.
got absolutely smacked by the Jaguars.
62.
Oh, I don't even want to remember that.
I tell people all the time, and I'm not trying to bring that up for heartache for a lot of you, but I was born in 88, so 98 for me, I would have been 10 years old. I can remember 7, 8, 9, 6, 7, 8, 9, like watching a Dolphins game on TV with my dad, but I was a military brat. We never lived in South Florida.
Right.
I can remember briefly like watching games and being a fan of Dan Marino and being a fan of the Dolphins. But my first true memory of a game, I can remember being on the couch watching like an Oakland Raiders playoff game with Dan Marino in it in the 90s sometime. But like my first game that I can remember, oh snap, I remember the game vividly and I remember watching it from start to finish, was 62-7. That was my first real memory.
Oh my God.
As a Dolphins fan. And I still fell in love with the damn team. I still fell in love with them.
Well, that makes you a real Dolphins fan.
I tell people all the time. Like you gotta really love something to lose 62-7 and say, that's my team. That's my team. I had already loved Dan Marino.
Oh, yeah.
Don't get twisted. I was already a huge Marino fan. But my first memory of a game that I can remember, like the ins and outs of the game, 62-7, man. And I remember watching the fourth quarter, saying, my mom asking me, why are you still watching the fourth quarter? And I said, quote unquote, I'm 11 years old at the time. I said, Mom, it's going to be another 6 to 8 months before I get to watch this team again. And I want to watch them because I don't get a chance to watch them all the time. That's how much of a fan I was. We're losing 62-7 and I'm still watching because I just want to watch the Dolphins on TV. I did not care if they won or lost. I just cared that they were on TV. I just cared that they were the Dolphins. I just cared because it was Dan Marino. And I knew it was his last game probably. And I knew all this stuff was going down. And yeah. 1 in 15, AJ Harris says, oh my God. With 13,
I went to the only game. The only game that they won against the Ravens that year.
Yep. So
that was crazy.
What year was 1 in 15? 2007, 2008?
2007.
So 2007, I had just graduated high school. I know I'm so young, guys. I get it. 2007, I graduated high school.
Yeah, I was a freshman at the time.
I graduated high school in 2007. And as soon as I finished high school, I went to broadcasting school. I went to the Broadcasting Institute of Maryland. And it was around for like 70 years. And it closed probably in the last 10 or 15 years. That school closed. It's really sad that the school was around for 70 plus years. And it was a broadcasting school. And it started a lot of people's careers. Robin Quivers, who's Howard Stern? Robin off Howard Stern. She went to that school.
Really?
Yep. I went there. So I went to that school. Broadcasting.
What was the school called, Stephen? I'm sorry, I missed it.
Broadcasting Institute of Maryland.
Okay, gotcha.
That's where I went to school after high school. After I graduated high school, I knew that college wasn't really for me. I knew I wanted to. Robin Quivers, yes, thank you, Trucker Sean. So yeah, so I went to that school. So I'm going to that school, and it's the Dolphins are having that bad year that year, and for the first time in my life, in August, I moved out of my parents' house at 18. And moved into this house in Baltimore, Maryland. I went from the country of the Eastern Shore to the city of Baltimore, Maryland in the hood overnight. And my dad, I guess, knew the owner or found out who the owner was and made a deal. My dad would come every weekend and we would work on the house. And in return, I got to stay there. And my dad would do the work free of charge as long as I got to stay there for free. during the school year. So that's where I stayed. I stayed in Baltimore, and the Dolphins are having this losing season, and they're losing week after week after week. And I'm an intern at CBS Radio in Baltimore, and I'm decked out in Dolphins gear every week, and I love it. And I'm interning at the radio station, and I'm going to school, but the Dolphins are just in this losing streak, and I'm living by myself, and I'm living alone for the first time. And I'm just enjoying every second of being a quote unquote adult right after high school. Right. And, the Dolphins, week 11 loss, week 12 loss, week 13 Dolphins, Ravens. So about a month leading up to the game, Ravens fans are just giving me the business, Irving. They are, man, we're going to kill you guys, man. You're going to lose, man.
Oh, man.
Talking all sorts of shit to me, right? For the weeks leading up to the game. And at the time I did bet. I was a betting guy at that time. And I started betting everybody. And I bet you X number of dollars, man. I'll bet you my PlayStation, man. I'll bet you a dinner or lunch or what. I bet. I said the Dolphins first, a month before the game, Dolphins first win is going to come against the Ravens. And all I was doing was trying to defend my honor as a Dolphins fan and just try to take it to these stupid ass Ravens fans, right? Game comes around. I didn't want to watch the game with anybody. So my girlfriend at the time was staying at my place, and the first half comes around, and I'm like, we can fucking do this. This can really go down. Like, the Dolphins can win this game. So I start texting people, and people are like, oh, you guys played a pretty good first half. You'll blow it in the second half. Well, fourth quarter comes, and I'm like, let's go, guys. Well, people start getting real freaking quiet. And I was supposed to meet up with a lot of people for that Sunday night game. Just to go out and watch that Sunday night game that day. And when Greg Camarillo scored the touchdown in overtime, I ran out of my house in Baltimore City in the hood with a flag of the Dolphins and all of my Dolphin gear on, screaming at the top of my lungs, running down.
Wow.
Fuck you, Ravens. You guys suck. Like, just cussing out everybody I could find that had purple on and just screaming my head off about the Dolphins. Meanwhile, I'm this white guy in the hood with nothing but Dolphin stuff on, just straight up flipping people off, driving by, giving people the business, doing the DX, talking to everybody. Like, I'm giving everybody the business. That night I walked.
It's worth the risk, right?
Oh my God. That night I walk into the bar, and it's a Ravens bar, and I'm decked out in my Dolphin stuff, and I'm like giving everybody the middle finger. And yeah, I didn't pay for anything that night. I didn't pay for a damn thing.
Oh shit.
And it was and I let people know. And you would have thought we had won the Super Bowl. You would have thought we had won the damn Super Bowl.
But you know how embarrassing it would have been, Steven, like if, because we were the only team in NFL history to go undefeated, to just go become winless
every game. Oh my God, that was my biggest
I couldn't forgive that, bro.
That was my biggest fear. And what's so funny about that season is, yeah, it sucked losing all those games, but I remember the game that we won that year. For me, that and that's part of what's sad about being a Dolphins fan, that one of my greatest memories as a Dolphins fan in the last 15 years is the Greg Camarillo game. That was one of my greatest memories as a Dolphins fan is the Greg Camarillo 1-15 season game. And when you really think about it at its simplest form, that's pretty sad that I look at that so fondly. It's a 1-game win season, but it is one of my greatest memories. And that's sad.
I know.
It shouldn't be like that.
It's crazy, bro. And the thing is about that team, like there was a lot of close games that we should have won.
Oh yeah, that season. Well, a lot of people don't realize that year, believe it or not, that year, whatchamacallit, Actually, it was probably that stretch of years, 06, 07, 08. The Dolphins had lost, I don't know the exact number, but it was something like 30 games over the course of a 3 or 4 year span, 30 plus games over a 3 or 4 year span where they lost. It was like 30 plus. It might have been maybe even 40. They lost all those games by a possession or less, by a touchdown or less. And that's why the saying "good teams find a way to win" always stuck with me, because every week I can remember for years, my senior year of high school, my freshman, the year I went to broadcasting school, the year I worked in radio for Baltimore, like when I was working and getting paid by them, and was working as a board operator. I mean, I would always say, "Oh man, we almost had them. Oh man, we were right there. We lost by a touchdown. Oh man, we lost by a field goal." I remember this Cleveland Browns game for some reason in that time frame. I think we lost by 3 points to the Browns, somewhere in that range. Right?
Yeah, I think that was 2010 when Brandon Marshall was here.
It could have been. We lost by like 3 points. And I can remember walking into the studio the next day and saying to Jeremy Kahn, saying, "Hey man, we almost won that game." And Jeremy saying, "Bro, like why do you always say that?" And I had to think about it for a second. I'm like, damn, as a Dolphins fan, I do always say we almost won. That was my favorite saying for 40 years. We almost won. We only lost by a field goal. And we only lost by a touchdown. I don't ever want to. I tell people all the time, if I had the chance to lose 62-7 or lose 38-35, I would lose 62-7 all day long. I would do it all day long. People think I'm crazy for it. I don't care. When you suck, you know that you suck. And you eat it, and you're like, all right, it is what we are. You just embrace the identity of it, and you find something to hold your hat on to. When you're mediocre and you lose games that you should be winning, they rip your freaking heart out. And they
do. How many times I've
so much from you.
Experienced that?
They take so much from you. You know, so that's what it was for me. I tell people all the time I would rather lose 62-7 than 38-35.
Stephen D, I want to say one thing, and this is one thing that good teams, championship teams, they find ways to overcome adversity.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
They overcome adversity. Like I'll take the Miami Heat for example, right? Not bad. It's not for the Miami Heat during that big 3 year faced a lot of challenges, right? They didn't start. They had a 9-8 start in their first year. You know, they lost in the NBA Finals in their first year. They lost to an underdog team, et cetera, et cetera. But when that Game 6 of that Boston series, when Miami was in the face of that elimination, when they were in the face of being eliminated, right? They were down 3-2. Something clicked on LeBron James that brought out that dog in him, that survival mode. And he just went off for 45 points. And then Miami, the rest is history. They went back-to-back championships. In 2013, they won 66 games. So what I mean is that when your back is against the wall, you find ways to just win. You find ways to overcome that adversity, overcome the obstacles, and just win. Patriots did that many times. You saw the Super Bowl in 2016. You saw the Super Bowl in 2018. Just good teams find ways to win. That's always been the formula for every team. Good, just like you said, good teams find a way to win. Every team faces adversity. It's just up to that team to find the heart and find the tenacity, the courage to overcome that adversity, and that's how you become a champion. If you can't overcome that adversity, overcome that obstacle in front of you as a team, your team is always going to be a mediocre team. You're going to be the Chicago Cubs of the past 100 years before they won. The Dolphins the past 25 years. Good teams always find a way to win. So it's not just about having the talent on paper, because we do have it, right? We have the coaching, we have everything. It's just all about putting it together and executing, just winning. That's all. You want respect from other teams, you have to win. You're supposed to beat the teams that you're supposed to beat and find a way to win, to beat the teams that give you a hard time. So I think that's, Miami just has to just execute a little bit better, and I don't want to go through those what happened last year, 3-game losing streak, and then losing 5 games in a row. We can't have that, bro. We can't have that up and down, kind of imbalance, that crazy imbalance. We have to build consistency, and that's what we need as a winning football team. We need to find consistency, number one, and it's not just from the quarterback positions, from every position on both sides of the football. And we need to overcome adversity. That we need to win, close out close games, and that's how you win in this league.
I think that the Miami Dolphins are on the precipice of that, and about to be there. If not, they are already there. All right, Irving, man, I appreciate you coming on today. Appreciate it.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me on, bro.
Easy. All right, Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami Fan Morning Show. It was a lot of fun hanging out with you all today. I hope you all enjoyed the show. Hit the like button if you haven't done so already. Donate to the channel. Help the channel grow. It helps when you guys donate. It allows me to do this on a day in, day out basis. Only 2 donations today. So if you're able to donate, even if it's $1, it goes such a long way into helping the channel grow. Tomorrow, Spread Kindness Friday. We're going to do something big as far as, remember, 50% of all donations tomorrow will go towards a charity or a cause. We're going to announce that tomorrow morning. It'll definitely be in regards to Gary P. R.I.P. Rest in peace. One of our Dolphins Brotherhood passed away, so we're going to figure out a way to best support him. And Jason Sarney will be my co-host. We're going to talk some of the things that we should look for next week from training camp. And ultimately, what do the local beat reporters kind of think about what we're doing? What does Omar Kelly think? What does Daniel Yafusi think? What does Barry Jackson think? We're gonna do a deep dive into their Instagrams and stuff and talk about what they think and some of their takes, and kind of go in and elaborate on some of their takes over the last couple of weeks of the Dolphins, since we're gearing up for the 2023-2024 Miami Dolphins season. Next week, it'll be a big show. Monday, I got a surprise guest co-host, excuse me, that'll be on with me on Monday. I think you're going to like him. He's a pretty cool guy. A lot of you know him in the community. And so Monday will be a big show too. Tuesday, I'll have DJ Genesis back on the show with me. Wednesday will be Wildin' Out Wednesday. Thursday, I'll have both Cams on. Cameron Scott will be obviously co-hosting, and my buddy Cam will be on to talk baseball in the first half of the show, and then we'll obviously get into more Dolphins talk the second half of the show. And then, as Fridays are always next week, Jason Sarney will be on, and we're getting in the swing of things with Dolphins content. So it'll be good, because next Friday we'll kind of have a really good ordeal of how the first week of training camp looked. And I'm excited for all next week's show. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hope you guys enjoyed the show today. Again, hit the like button, donate to the channel, help the channel grow. And I will see you all tomorrow right here on Spread Kindness Friday. It was a lot of fun. Hit me up at Stephen D. SKPL. Spread kindness, positivity, and love. You guys are the best fans in the world. We'll see you tomorrow. Peace.
A little early, it's a bit surprising. Business moves, now we enterprising. Switch it up, now we improvising. Go to get in the winter collar. Whole squad been trained to go. Fins for life, we throw the foe. Singing this just to welcome bro. To a time, to a time. Time to grind, time to shine. To a time, to a time. To a time, to a time. To a time, to a time.